Love reptiles? Don't miss this. If you're passionate about reptiles, amphibians, and everything cold-blooded, Reptiles magazine is a must-have. Each issue is packed with expert care tips, stunning photography, and the latest news in the reptile world. Whether you're a seasoned herpetologist or just starting your reptile journey, this magazine has something for you. Subscribe today and stay informed on the best ways to care for your scaly friends. For only $14.99 a year, you can step outside your algorithm and get exposure to things that you wouldn't normally see or learn about. My family reads Reptiles magazine, and you should too. Visit subscribe.reptilesmagazine.com to get started. This is the Expert and the Idiot podcast. If you like the show and you'd like to support us, there's a link to our Patreon in the description below. Some benefits include getting access to new episodes up to a month in advance. There's also links to USARK and USARK Florida. If you're not already a member, please sign up. Enjoy the show. All right, welcome to episode 58 of The Expert and the Idiot. Today I am joined by the one and only MJ from Trap Talk Reptile Network.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Happy to be here. This is really cool. As I've said to you before, I admire the work you've been doing on this podcast that you have, and all the guests you bring on. Just it's an honor to be here with all the catalog you've had so far. You know what I mean?
Oh, thanks, man. You've been a total sweetheart. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you inviting me on your show. That was an honor. That was a lot of fun. Although you gave me a fucking anxiety attack with your hot seat questions.
Oh, they weren't that bad.
No. I wasn't expecting it. I was like, oh my gosh. And they don't stop. They just keep coming.
Yeah, they're pretty rapid fired. I don't know. It's always been something I've done. And if it's someone I like, and if it's a Thursday night, never been on the show before, you're going to get hit with the hot seats. It's kind of a ritual.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I hope I passed.
Oh yeah.
I need to go back and listen to it again. Honestly, like I hate listening to myself, but like I kind of, because it was live too. So that was like a different level of stress, so it was like, I kind of felt like I blacked out and just like went through it.
Yeah. It's crazy because, got people who do their own shows and they're just more comfortable with the pre-record side of things, which I never started my podcast as doing pre-recorded. Everything was always like on the cuff live. And I, basically learned a lot as I was going along, and it was definitely like nerve-wracking. And the thing is, that's why I like it, because it's still nerve-wracking. Like even when I do lives today, like, yeah, I'm not as nervous, but I still have that feeling in my stomach, and I love that shit. It's something am I allowed to cuss on here? I don't know. You don't?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So anyways, I just I've always done the lives, but yeah, some people are just like, it's a lot for them to kind of take in. But I've never had anyone do a live and say, oh, dude, that was terrible, I'll never do it again. Once we do it, they're like, dude, that was great. Like, I always get like the other opposite feeling of how they felt going into it. Like, oh, that was not what I expected. That was relaxing and chill, because that's all it is. We're just conversating, you know what I mean? And yeah, so I've always admired the live, but I feel like if you are going to do what you're doing, especially like on YouTube, it's almost worth your while doing them pre-recorded and putting them out in video format, only because YouTube would actually, like, they prefer that, and you'll actually get paid. If you are going to get paid, you will get paid on that versus lives. You don't get paid nothing on lives. Lives they don't pay you nothing. But that's one, I don't really do it for the money. Even though I made a career out of it, I do it just because, like, the interaction, the engagement, people knowing that they're right then and there watching it during a conversation, they like it. So I'll always do the live, regardless of how you should do things, because YouTube's all about drinking the juice. And, there's certain things you have to like do for YouTube to put you in algorithms. So it's kind of annoying, but yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. I just remembered something from our conversation on your show. You said you have How many ball pythons? Did you say 200?
No, I think I meant total snakes.
Oh, okay. How many ball pythons do you have then?
About 80,
Okay.
about 80 adults, and then about, yeah, probably like another 30 holdbacks from, and last couple of years. So like 120, maybe 130. I really haven't counted. I'm just going based off what I know what's filled in a rack system right now. I have a couple hatchlings. So yeah, maybe 130, 120. Yeah, around there.
Okay, so let me ask you this. If somebody said, "Yeah, you can't sell ball pythons anymore. You can
Yeah.
only give them away as gifts."
Yeah.
Would you still keep ball pythons?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, not to this capacity. But I
What do you like about them?
they're my gateway, man. That everything, like, remember, I'm one of those people who have a childhood story with reptiles, right? Like, and it's kind of almost everybody. Everyone has a, for the most part, you meet some people who just never liked them and then start liking them as adults, which is fine. But I'm from that era where, I went in my backyard looking for lizards. My dad gave me my very first pet ball python that I remember like yesterday seeing at a pet store. And like, it was a whole ordeal because like, I was a fucking spoiled kid, and like I wanted what I wanted, and I made a big deal about wanting that ball python. And my mom, full blood Italian mom, like she was just like usually when she said no to something, it was a no. And so I was pretty confident I wasn't going to get this snake. And of course, Christmas morning, I opened up all my presents, and with the crazy thing, it was a great Christmas. Like if I wouldn't have got the snake, I probably would have been okay. I was that good of a Christmas. I wasn't expecting it. And then, of course, my dad disappears for a little bit, and he comes downstairs walking the tank, and I'll never forget, like, oh my God, I own a snake. And so like that right there carried with me. And I remember my dad got me a book, like a manual, that was like whatever available there. I mean, this is like 1990. So, and I remember just like, there was a couple pictures, and the pictures are what I really liked about the book. But then I also started like understanding that, oh, these are like, this is to help you and stuff like that. But I never really read it. But just that whole moment, that feeling, you know what I mean, of like being surprised. And I legit love reptiles. Like, that was like the first start of my passion of reptiles, was that ball python moment. And so anyways, I had that connection with ball pythons, and then I went through a whole period of my life where I didn't own any reptiles, and I was doing whatever else in life. And then my life was just kind of going through a spiral at that time. And then I somehow was like, dude, I need something to make me happy, other than what I'm doing, because partying, dealing drugs, and like going through girlfriends and all this shit, it's just not working out. And it was really just starting to weigh on me. And I was depressed. I was like probably the most like depressed I've ever been in my entire life. Hated myself. So
Can you define that spiral? Like, how would you define that spiral in your life?
Well, I mean, there was a time and place where I was getting arrested a lot. Like I would like get locked up. It would be a huge thing. And then somehow, like maybe not even a year later, like just about a year from me getting locked up, I would get locked up again, or the most stupidest shit. And it's like, and like, I didn't want to get used to getting locked up. And I remember, and I have this crazy story. I mean, I'll try to say as quick as I can, but I was going through this stuff, getting locked up and getting put on probation. And then I was still trying to do my DJ stuff that I was doing in Mexico. And
How old were you?
This moment right here, I was 28 years old, 27 years old. So
Okay.
about 10 years ago, this was all going down. And so anyways, I tried crossing the border. I give them my ID. They immediately arrest me. They say, you're wanted at a San Bernardino on a no bail warrant. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, what did I do? Did I not report to probation? And so I ended up spending 10 days in jail, going through hell. Like I 3 of those days was at customs, where I saw these people coming in, like illegals getting caught trying to cross. And like, I saw a kid with basically they cut him open and put kilos in his stomach. And so the cops caught him, took the kilos out, and then arrested him. And he showed me like the fresh surgery. And I'm like, whoa. And so like that right there was like just crazy, just like insane experience. And so, and again, with that story, I ended up going to San Bernardino, which is about 3 hours from here. And I did get in trouble in San Bernardino. So I thought everything that was happening was supposed to happen. And when I finally get to San Bernardino, they actually run my social, my picture comes up. They're looking at me. They go, what the hell? And they didn't have the right person. So they had, yeah. So check this out. When they stopped me at the border, my name's Michael Dominic Juarez. And my date of birth matched this guy whose name was Miguel Daniel Juarez, and we just had the exact same date of birth. They didn't match the socials at the border, and San Diego didn't match that either. They waited for me to go all the way to San Bernardino for them to actually process me and to see, oh my God, this isn't the right guy. And the guy they wanted was like a murderer. Like he was like, dude, you should have saw the level of security I was getting booked into. I was like meeting people doing life, and I'm like, dude, what is going on? Like I was like, they're asking me why I'm there, and I'm trying to explain, and they're like, nah, they're thinking I'm like hiding shit. I'm like, dude, that's what happened. Like I got caught with pills, and now I'm here, and you know what I mean? And so that was like crazy experience. So anyways, once they found out they didn't have the right person, and it was so shady, they were like, they basically told me to go in a certain cell. They threw my clothes at me that I got changed into when I got arrested. And then they told me to follow them. I'm going through like a break room area where all these cops are having their lunch, and I'm just walking, like looking. They open up a back door and tell me to get the fuck out of here. And I'm like, I was like, see ya. And so I took off, and I didn't have my cell phone. I did have my wallet on me, and I ended up running to a 7-Eleven that was like 3 miles down somewhere. I forgot, bro. But like I was emotional. I'm thinking like, is this a dream? Like I couldn't believe it. Because I do know I had some probation terms where if I fucked up, I was going to get locked up for a while. So I was mentally preparing to be in jail for a minute. And then once that happened, it was kind of a sense of relief. And so, but then again, I got locked up again like a year later. You know what I mean? So like, I just wasn't learning my lesson. And I just, my lifestyle was just so like not the direction I wanted to head into. Like I was money motivated. I had a good job at Verizon, making good money, but I just didn't want to become corporate. I didn't want to be a manager. And when I learned I was good at, making music and DJing, I pursued that dream. But then the only way I could pursue that dream is if I sold drugs, because I'm not, I don't care what kind of life is painted for a DJ. If you're not signed to a major label, you're not getting paid. Like you're getting crumbs to show up to these clubs. You know what I mean? And I know this firsthand. So I wanted to hold that lifestyle up by all means. And so I started selling drugs. And then obviously the drugs is what, I started doing the drugs. And so, and like, that's kind of where things were just like, dude, this is bad. You know what I mean? Cause I would rage like Thursday through Sunday, like, literally almost till Monday morning, I would be partying. And I did that through like most of my 20s and the start of my 30s until I met my wife. And then meeting her, as I was already liking snakes at that time again, like she helped me open up everything. Like she was like, why don't you buy a snake? And like encouraging me to like get into it. And that everything fucking just took off after that, man. So that's what I meant by spiraling. Here in San Diego, dude, like we're close to the border. It's almost the norm to like get good drugs, be the guy with good drugs, and it's easy to sell, especially here where we're at. And so I also wanted that lifestyle. Like I had friends who were loaded, but they knew they were better at selling drugs than I was. Like I was kind of reckless, and I'm glad I wasn't good at selling drugs. I didn't, I'm kind of proud of that.
Are your parents still together?
No, my parents split up when I was 14.
Oh shit, that's a bad time.
Yeah, that was terrible. Cause like I said, I was a spoiled kid. My dad and I raced dirt bikes like professionally. Like I was like trying to take that serious at that time, played football, baseball, all the sports. And then once my mom and dad divorced, it was a bad breakup. My mom dipped to the East Coast. My dad just started going downhill because he had addiction problems, lost his job. And then we moved to my grandma's house, and then I had to give up all my bikes. And then that's when I kind of became like a different, like I became angry in a sense, and so I went through all this crazy like shit and, anger, emotional shit during high school. But then I moved to Washington. So my dad got a job in Bellingham, Washington. And I met like a whole new fresh of friends and like met a different demographic of people. And that was awesome. That was kind of like a reset. And I felt like, okay, like life is going to be good, and then I came back to San Diego and then met all the other old friends again. And that's when shit happens.
So yeah. It was that one ball python that kind of got you addicted.
Yeah. So that one ball python is something that, like I said, I took that with me forever. And I always was a fan of ball pythons, and I had ball pythons leading up to my early 20s. I think I was like 21 when I finally didn't have a snake. And then I went through the rest of my 20s not having a snake, and then going through like those spiral moments where I finally was like, I need something to bring me back to reality here, as far as like not this party shit. And I remember looking up ball python on Craigslist, and then I found a ball python on Craigslist, and it was like a morph, and I didn't know about morphs, and so I thought ball pythons were just dark brown snakes, and I got this pastel Mojave orange ghost ball python for $75, and it came with a tank, and I couldn't believe it. You know, this is 2015. Still had that snake, by the way. She still breeds. She's still with me. But anyways, I remember getting that snake and then looking at the on the face of this guy selling me a snake. He was like pretty depressed because he was going through some shit in life, and he had no choice but to sell the snake. Really needed the money. And remember when he handed over the snake, he's like, dude, just so you know, man, this is a pastel Mojave orange ghost, and this thing could make you some crazy snakes. I hope you know that. And I'm just like, okay, guy. Like, I just like, I was like, and this was like in a trailer park. So I'm just like, he's in his pajamas at like fucking 2 PM. I'm just like, all right, dude, I'm out of here, you know? And so, but yeah, I I'm somebody who does pay attention to details. Like I'm good at picking up cues. And so when he said that, I went home, researched ball python, the morph, and I got, dude, that's when I saw blue-eyed Lucy. I saw pied. And so it all started with the ball python, dude. Like, I can't, so much as I love this side of the room and my tree monitors, I cannot stop loving ball pythons because what they've done. Like, they've been my huge gateway to everything. So yeah, that's why, to my answer, I would always like have ball pythons. I would still rock with them for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, the green trees that's sort of a newer addiction, right? Is that like your sort of, did you make room though? Did you like get rid of a lot of stuff to make more room for green cheese? Like, when did you get really into them and really start taking it seriously?
So it went from ball pythons to green tree pythons. So my as I was still just a pet guy with ball pythons, I remember I ended up coming across a animal plastics rack system that held adult ball pythons, held 8 of them. And I remember getting that, and I only had 4 ball pythons at the time. And I'm like, oh, I got to fill this rack up. Like, I'm like, I just want all of them to be filled with ball pythons just because of the ease. Like, I went from tanks. Like, I went from having all these tanks in my closet, like super 90s ghetto type shit, like with the bulbs and all that. Like, that was happening. And so when I went from that to the rack system, I was like just completely mind blown. And I was just obsessed the way they sound when you opened them, the way it smelled when you put cocoa chip in there. Like, it was just bringing me back to like being a kid again. Like, I was having all these crazy like excitement moments, just exploring all this. And so I met my wife, who helped me pursue buying more snakes. She was like, dude, do it. And then I told her how bad I wanted a green tree python. And then I started looking up green tree python. So after I started getting my motors running with the ball pythons, I started looking at green tree pythons on Underground Reptiles' website. Didn't buy anything from there, but that's where I was like looking at all these. They had all these crazy names that really obviously was just ways to try to get you to buy them. But they were just like, I was tripping out like and yeah, I liked the yellow ones at first. I really did. The yellow ones were probably something I were looking at. Yellow neonates were probably the ones I was looking at the most before I even knew about red ones. But yeah, man, I got my first green tree python. Her name's Mimi. She's still here. My wife bought her for me. And it was right after that. I would say I had Mimi about a year and a half, because I also was like very intimidated, right? Like, I was like, oh my God, this is a green tree python. Like, dude, she was mean. She was like, I would drop her on the perch because she was just like psychotic. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then I didn't realize, like, oh yeah, hey, how about you don't put a fucking red light bulb over her head and don't cook her, and she might be nice. And so I didn't know all that, dude. Like, I was very like, like your classic noob into this, just like doing whatever I feel like is necessary without doing the research. But I would tell you that this is like right before Instagram and all that shit really started taking off with the reptiles. So, but anyways, dude, after that, the same way I started collecting ball pythons, I found a way to collect chondros. And even though chondros were a lot more expensive, once I found the plug, which was an importer out of Florida, named Joe Swatowski, who's still around, like he really, really put me on game. So I would say 2017 is when I started stacking my chondros, and a lot of those things are still here, if not all of them. I think I only have a couple males that I let go of, but a lot of those females are my foundation today that I collected in 2017.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, when me and my wife bought this house in 2022, 2022, she let me turn the garage, which is 20 by 16 or so. I don't know the exact measurements, but she just let me turn this garage into my own little custom reptile facility, which I basically put a split wall, which divides this side of the room, which is the podcast side. So I have all my emeralds, my chondros, my tree monitors over here, and then my incubator as well. Then on that side of the wall are all the ball pythons and scrubs and white lip pythons, and then and more tree monitor enclosures over there. So
What kind of scrubs do you have?
Moluccans.
Nice.
Yeah, I have a pair of United States captive born and bred Moluccans.
Who did you get those from?
I hate to say the guy's name, but I'm gonna just be mature about it.
Then don't.
No, but honestly, it's very childish of me at this point. I just only because like he painted some narratives out there, and I don't want to get involved because this is a very positive place for a podcast. So I don't want to get involved. But anyway,
thanks.
Yeah, I just got it from this guy named Marcel, and I don't even know what his deal is in the hobby nowadays. No clue. But I got him from a guy who basically ended up acquiring a pair of adult Moluccans that were very like mature, very mature. And he got him to get a clutch. He got a clutch of, I think, 18 eggs or something like that. And he wasn't too far from me. And I was one of the people lucky enough to be in contact with him while like as he got the eggs, and because he wasn't sure they were going to hatch. And when he got them to hatch, he wasn't sure they were going to eat, got them all to eat, and he did it. And so I will give him that. And I was lucky enough to be one of the few out there to get a pair from him. I know Patrick Holmes has a pair. Brandon Wheeler has a pair, and someone else has a pair out there. I forget. Stephen Cush has one. Stephen Cush has a pair, I think, as well. So I will give him that. You know, he got him to hatch, and he did put him in the right people's hands. So kudos to that. But I guess the next year he tried to get him to breed, and didn't work out, and he ended up selling them and just gave up on it. But yeah.
What about the white lips?
White lips are so yeah. Remember, okay, me and you talked before, and I told you I used to have a lot. Like I used to have a lot, bro. Like remember I told you I had that importer homie Joe, and he was sending me a lot more than chondros. Man, I was getting crazy species of Boega, and like literally over 8 species of Boega I was working with at one point. Papua olives, Australian olive pythons. I had a bunch of short tails and bloods, and then at that time also I had a white lip addiction, and ended up having. I think I had 3.5 at one point. Like I had a nice big group of white lips, but that was like, at that point I was realizing the stress of everything that I'm keeping is like, dude, like I had a full-time job at that time. And I'm like, dude, this is not like, you need to snap out of it. And so, I ended up keeping just my favorite docile pair of white lips because you were just at a guy named Steve Tillis's house, right?
Yeah. Dr. Steven Tillis. Yep. Very
big fan of that dude as well. Got to meet him at Daytona. Real nice guy, but he's been brought up on my show I don't know how many times. Just mad respect to that dude. But you showed a white lip over at his place.
Yeah.
That almost, it's like the darker versions. Like there's crazy gold looking white lips. There's like, okay, that's a dark white lip. And then there's like almost black ones. And so I forget which post it was, but you had one that looked real similar to my male, which I was told is a BIAC locality, but then now I'm told that the BIAC localities are the red white lips. So I'm told that these could be hets, which I'm just hearing through the grapevine. But I kept that one for a reason because it was the darkest one. And then I kept the goldest one. So my female is like one of those crazy gold looking white lips. And then I have a really, really black looking white lip. And I've kept them. All these other white lips I let go of was probably about like 4 years ago now. It's been a while. So I've had this pair for a minute. I got a clutch for my female last year who laid the day I flew out to Brian Suson's place. And I didn't tell my guy who was looking over my room to check to see if she laid. I didn't think she was going to lay, to be honest. Like I didn't know, like didn't see an ovulation. I was only going off a pre-lay shed. And I'm like, are they 30 days after a pre-lay shed? Are they like, what are they? Chondros are 2 weeks. So I'm just like, I didn't know what to expect. And so came home to a clutch of just really dried up eggs. At that time, my humidity in my room was really bad. And so my humidity just dried up the eggs. And so she was trying, but yeah, all the eggs went to shit. She laid 8 of them. But she's I think she's about to be in a prelay now. So might have another shot at it this year. We'll see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I love it, man. But that's a lot of snake, man. That's why I almost love seeing all the stuff that you're adding, because it reminds me of myself. And you're just adding what you love, and that's what it's all about. Like, add what you love. But man, it's just like, takes me back. You know what I mean? Like Timors, obviously, I know you have that love for Timors. I had a huge group of Timors at one point, and so all this stuff that, like, you know, isn't easy in a sense. Like, you know, like, and what I mean by that, you know, if you have to take a Timor out, you know it's about to go down if you're holding that Timor more than 2 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it's either gonna, like, and mine never really bit. I never had any. What's crazy, I had buddies who had aggressive Timors. I've never had aggressive Timors, but some of them just couldn't stop urating after 2 minutes of being held. And then they take off. I like it when they're just chilling, but you don't get a chill Timor, just like you don't really get a chill white lip after a while. Like, it's gonna start, you know, connecting dots. It's gonna be like, dude, I don't want to be held. And then they don't stop moving. And then once they do that, good luck. It's gonna get real messy after that.
Yeah, man, I don't know what it is with those snakes. And they always seem to wrap their tail around my wrist where my watch band is and then pee into the watch band. It's without fail, dude. Every single time they pee into my watch band. It's nasty, dude.
Yeah. Oh man. And I also, during the time of me having all this other cool stuff to work with, I had a few different localities of scrubs, or species of scrubs, I should say. I had Halmaheras.
Oh, you had Helms? Dude, they're my favorite scrub. I want them so bad, especially after holding a baby that Dr. Tillis made. Oh my gosh, bro.
Yeah, so shout out to Dr. Tillis for doing that. I know a couple other people who've had some Halmahera eggs this year. They haven't hatched, but like, that's huge. Like, I got to tell you, man, Halmaheras are amazing, bro. Like, that right there for sure takes me back, because I definitely I had a trio. You want to hear a messed up story?
Always.
So at this time, my wife at my old house, I told her, I was like, listen, these chondros and these certain snakes, they need to be away from the ball pythons. Like, can I please can I put them in my podcasting room? And she was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. And so I convinced her to let me put a lot of the stuff I had in the OG trap into another, like, trap 2.0 room, in a sense, for my chondros, like my arboreal stuff. So my plan was like, oh yes, I'm going to put all the scrubs in some 4x2x2s. Like, I'm going to hook them up. And so, and this is why, man, people, if you're the one who's going to be building your own cages, or, like, you know, installing your own heat, just make sure you quadruple check everything. And I'm somebody where, like, once I get a rhythm going and I feel like everything's, I don't always double check. Like, I'll feel like, oh, it's all good. Especially when there's a bunch of them to do, like, you just want to get it over with. So that's not a good habit to have when it comes to, like, installing stuff. So I will say one of the reasons that pushed me out of Halmaheras is because I even knew, like, I had a nice, beautiful trio. And it was a 1.2, and it was something I was so proud of. And I'm like, I cannot wait someday to breed these. And they were just around the corner. Well, then one day I come home from the gym and I could smell bacon. Like, I smelled like legit food cooking. And I'm like,
oh no.
I was like, dude, why is it? And it smelled good. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just like, dude, what is that smell? And it's getting stronger and stronger and stronger as I'm heading to my room. And I'm like, dude, what is going on? And so I open up my room, and of course I get whiffed of, like, whatever's cooking. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? And so I'm looking. And so I had one of these melamine enclosures that my male Halmahera was in, and I had a ceramic bulb, but I had one of those cages that go over the ceramic bulbs. And I didn't want to use, like, and when I screwed that, here's the thing, when I screwed that cage into the enclosure, I didn't want to use long enough screws where it's going to penetrate to the cage up top. So I thought I was using enough where this will keep it up and it's good. Well, no, this fucking Halmahera plowed it open. So he plowed open one corner of the cage caging, and he went in there and wrapped the bulb.
No.
And so when the bulb turned on, it literally, he stood there and just died. He got cooked like that. Like, he got cooked wrapped around the bulb. And I couldn't believe what I was looking at. And I was like, oh man, I wanted to be mad at the snake, because I'm like, how can you fucking do that? But I'm like, dude, you're the idiot. Like, you should have tugged on it. You should have made sure There's no way of getting in. And you know, you gotta, you know, some of these snakes, man, if they want to get into something, they're going to get into it. And so, and the hook, and you could tell too, the screw just was not, it was, you know, you ever drill something in and I'm like, oh, that's not as secure. Like, it was too like wiggly, you know what I mean? And so
like you stripped it out or something.
It was like, I think I put it in another pre-drilled hole that just was like, you know, already had another screw. And so it just wasn't what
it was sloppy.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, exactly. It's all it was. It was and it was like, okay, it could happen to anyone. Like, but then again, like, look what could happen with such a simple like fuck up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude, you just unlocked a new fear.
Oh my God, bro, that
is terrible.
So when that happened, I got over it. I was pissed, and my heart was like broken. I think the Halmaheras went to Steven Cush, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot who they went to.
I would have cried, dude. I would have cried.
I mean, back then things made me cry. I'm a lot better now, but dude, I was taking losses and they were emotionally affecting me because, like, if you think I felt that way about that ball python when I was 6, imagine how I feel about all this stuff that I have now. Like, I'm attached, dude. Like, I'm attached. Like, these are all my little cold-blooded children. You know what I mean? And so, and you know, when you spend so much time with something and you know, baby it with fresh water, they become your babies. You know what I'm saying? So, and I told you I was proud of these Halmaheras. I'm going to dig up pictures, bro. I'm going to dig up pictures. I'm going to send them to you after this episode, Adam. And it were the Halmaheras with the orange eyes, like the Halloween eyes, really dark. Oh man. And then one of them looks super hypo, like almost like similar to the one that that you just posted.
Yeah.
Why did he post through the glass like that? Or why is he acting like it's a cobra? What's going on? Why didn't you?
That's so he's got 3 facilities, and I'm probably going to screw this up, but he's got a biosecure facility where those animals were in quarantine for a year and they were tested, I think, quarterly. Something. I'm probably messing all this up, but they were tested for NITO constantly and various other pathogens. And so that is in the biosecure facility. Then he has like a keeper's facility in a separate building. And then he has a commercial breeder facility that's in another building. So some of the buildings, one of the buildings we could go into, the other one we would stand at the door. And then the other one, he F10'd his arms up to the elbow, went through an air scrubber, and then like went in there and talked to us through a microphone. And so that's his biosecure facility.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. That was the only thing I could think of. I'm like, unless it's a quarantine room and he just doesn't mess around with who goes in there, then that makes sense.
And dude, he pulled out a Bali retic.
Oh.
And brings it over, and that thing was just so pretty. Like, dude, so many things that he showed us. It was like last weekend. It haunts my dreams. Like the Halms, right? Like I wanted to just steal a pair from him. And the Bali retic, he like brings it up to the glass, and my little son Ben, who's 7, is like right at the glass and looking at him, like taking a picture with his mom's phone. And that snake opens wide and smashes her face into the glass right at his face.
Oh my
and
God.
I said something to my wife later. I was like, did you see like blah, blah, blah? And she's like, I blacked out. She's like, when that thing struck at the glass, like, I don't remember what happened.
Dude, yeah. So wait, he's in Florida, right? So I'm sure he has some sort of permit to have something like that. Like
yeah, because he's like an educator. He's got a facility, and dude, it was one of the best experiences I've ever had, because it's like, you know, like you go to like a zoo and stuff, and you see snakes, and it's often like depressing.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, oh, I could take care of these animals so much better. Like there's like dried out like rat pups laying on a rock and, you know, stuff like that. But this was like going into like a keeper's house, but with hundreds of just everything was awesome. And I forgot to add, he has Timors. I wanted to see him. I forgot. There's so many things I wanted to see that I forgot to ask him to show us, because he just kept pulling out incredible stuff. And he's like excited about it as you and I are. Right. So it's like, it was probably one of the coolest experiences I've had, for sure.
Yeah, that must have been badass. And so how far is he from you?
He is 3 hours from me, but with traffic, it was friggin' 4.5 hours.
He's south of you? Is he down closer?
He's north.
Oh, he's north. Okay.
Yeah, he's up at University of Florida in like Gainesville area.
Oh, so he's closer to Eugene, Bissett.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, he's up there.
All right. That's bad. That's cool, man.
Yeah, man. So next time you come to Florida, we got to go together. That'd be cool.
So my plan is to go visit Eugene, Bassett, and like kind of do some more North Florida like stuff. I've always gone down to South, and the most north I've ever gone is Daytona. But I know there's so much like more, and so because I want to go to Ron St. Pierre's place, and like there's just really a lot of reptile keepers in that area I respect, and definitely going to make a point to go check it out. So yeah, next time I know I'm in that area, I'll hit you up. We'll get together, and I'll love to go to these places with you. It'd be cool.
Oh, it'd be so much fun, dude. Yeah. So, shit, I don't even know what we were talking about. Let's talk about retics. I mean, you had retics. They're a different kind of animal because I don't get to see them often, you know? So seeing them, you know, in his hands and seeing that female like strike at my son's face, you know, through the glass, it was like, whoo.
Yeah.
You know,
you really want to test your ability of being a reptile or snake keeper, I should say. You know, and I don't want to say this because here's the thing. People love challenges. People hear something they shouldn't do and then they go do it because they just want to do it. And I'm definitely one of those people. But yeah, keep it retic, man. I dare you. And mind you, there's a lot of beautiful things and rewarding things about keeping such a great animal, but dude, there's no room for error. I have so many stories, man. Like I had as this room that was just getting crazy with stuff, I had a bunch of mainland retics. Mind you, a lot of them were sold to me as dwarfs and super dwarfs. And once I met the guy at the time who was just so tapped into the super dwarf game, he was more low key, but man, he knew his shit. He put me on game. He's like, dude, all that stuff is all going to get 13, 14, 16. And I'm like, no, it's not. And, but sure enough, like we stayed friends and throughout time, I could see how big these things were getting. And then what I ended up buying a proven breeder 10-foot dwarf marble something from somebody, and not even like just bought it. Like, who gives a shit what the temperament is, right? Turned out to be one of the most savage, meanest snakes I've ever had. His name was Zach. Zach Roloff was his name. And dude, this guy was spicy, bro. Like, almost like with the shield, like, but I almost was it was so new to me. And I was like, because I knew also too, once he's out of the cage, he's not so bad. He was just one of those, any retic, man, if it's a retic in a cage, you know, some of them will be fine, but more likely you don't want to mess with the retic in a cage. You get a hook, let them know you're coming in, you get them out. Once you get them out, for the most part, it's all good. But even then, like it's all subject to go down at any minute. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, dude, and that's exactly my dad's 17 stitches. Okay. My dad,
holy shit.
My dad at that time was like my he was like my man, he was like my foreman. Like, he would come in and like do heat tape for me, and like he hooked me up so much in the beginning, taught me a lot, because I didn't know how to like install heat tape and do any of that. I didn't want to like bother thinking of it because I was so scared of touching electricity, and like the last thing I want to do is burn my animals down. So my dad knows how to do all that stuff. So he would come over and he loved feeding. Like, my dad's favorite thing is feeding. And at that time I fed live. And so I had these rats that were like huge, you know what I mean? And like, I had a hookup on them back then. My buddy would just hook me up with retired rats, but I would feed them live, which would never do nowadays. But, and so it was a feeding, and my dad's like coming over to do some stuff. He's like, hey, if you're feeding that big one, save it for me. I want to feed it. I'm like, all right, dude. I was like, all right. And so basically he shows up. I forget that I have to go somewhere. And I'm like, Dad, I got to go shower. I was like, this is what you do. I was like, you grab the big freaking rat by the tail, check to see where the snake's at, and just throw the rat in there. Like, just throw it in there. And he's like, okay, got you. And so I'm showering, and then I hear, and I'm like, what? And so I get out like fully like wet. And then my dad's like, I'm okay. He's running in with a full roll of paper towel, like not even like, he just got the paper towel, patted on his hands. I'm like, what's going on? There's this blood, just a drip of trail blood from my trap, which was like only 20 feet from the house at that time, all the way to the kitchen. And my dad's just telling me everything's okay. And I'm looking at his hand that looks like it was put into a blender. And I'm like, dude, what the? I was like, what? And my dad just always didn't want to like, I told him what to do. And of course he didn't do it. He did something else. Right. And so he was trying to play it off. And I'm like, dude, I was like, you got to go to the hospital. Like, this is, and I'm like, where's the snake? He's like, I don't know where the snake's at. And I'm like, oh my God. So I run in there, and of course the snake's like, he got out and he's on top of a rack system, like ready to rock. And I'm like, where's the rat? And then, apparently he killed the rat. He wrapped the rat as he wrapped the rat, let go, and wrapped my dad's hand. Because what happened was there was 2 big rats I told my dad to feed. Threw the first one in, took it. And then without even checking, I don't know if he wanted to leave, he threw the second one in. So when he threw the second one in, the snake was sitting right there waiting, like waiting for anything to come. And what he also did was he put his hand more, instead of like tossing it in, he like put his hand in the enclosure. And so he freaking basically, once that hand got wrapped, or once that hand got crossed in that enclosure, snake got his hand, wrapped him. And so my dad, what my dad did was he pulled away like quickly. And that's what basically sharded his whole hand, was pulling away. And, my dad doesn't know the technique, like especially like if you get bit by a retic, you don't pull, you just sit there for a little bit, let them figure it out. Or put it underwater. But the last thing you do when you get wrapped by a retic or a big snake, you don't pull your hand away, like because that's going to make everything worse. And so, yeah, dude, that happened to my dad. And and then I'm thinking, like, when I started traveling a lot for the podcast, I'm like, how do I expect my wife to take care of this stuff, like, or like even anyone else? Like, what if this goes down and I'm not here? Like, all this stuff started going on in my head, and so
it's a liability.
It's a liability, and also like I just realized like I wasn't keeping them right. Like these retics, man, once they hit a certain size, they need the biggest enclosure you could possibly give them, because they'll use it. They're agile. They want the space. They'll push their faces to smithereens if they don't like what's going on. So like that happening to my dad was like a huge eye opener. And then what really got me out of retics, if you want me to be fair, is when I went to go visit prehistoric pets. Once I went to that and saw everything there, it still gives me nightmares. Like I saw retics with no face.
What? Why?
Yeah, just the eyeballs, because they were kept in tiny tubs, and I've told you if a retic does not like what they're in, they'll push. They'll just push. And this snake pushed so much it had no upper mouth.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I saw like 6 and 7 of these snakes stuffed into like one. And I just saw a scene.
Why?
Dude, I wish I could answer that for you. I really do. But what's crazy is he allowed me to film it. I have footage of all this, which is crazy. I'm walking around like, what is this? And my good friend at the time, Forrest Fanning, who's no longer with us, rest in peace. I'm looking at him and I'm like, dude, what is like? I was like, look at all the bubbles on that snake. Is that normal? He's like, yeah. He's like, it's kind of what it is with these bigger guys. And he was kind of just shrugging his shoulders. He's been in the game for 15 years. And I feel like the ones who just are doing this for so long, not the ones now, but back then, they don't give a fuck. And it sucks, but they just don't care. Oh, if your friend's a really neglected reptile keeper and his retics have no face, you're not going to tell him to change that. You're just going to say, fuck it. Sorry, go do your thing. And so, and that guy Jay's in his own world, man. Like he's in Hollywood, does his shit, doesn't give 2 shits what anyone has to think about him. Yeah, he's probably one of the most selfish people for sure. That has any kind of face in this hobby, unfortunately. But yeah, that right there was my signature. I'm done with retics. This is terrible. I went on this kind of rant, like where I'm like, dude, nobody should be keeping retics unless you keep them in this, and that, and almost went on a Crutchfield like rant, like because how he likes to say how you should keep them outside and all this stuff, which isn't feasible for everybody. But man, that space thing matters. And I don't know, we could get away with not having to have huge enclosures for a lot of these snakes, but there's just some snakes you can't get away with when it comes to that. And I think retics, I feel like they deserve all this space. So all that stuff started coming full circle as far as like my eyes opening up to seeing that, and how I didn't want to be like, I never wanted to be someone like prehistoric pets. Like, I was like, dude, this will never be me. And then I heard people burning their clothes after they visit his place. Like that was like a normal thing. Like you got to burn your clothes after you visit Jay's. And I'm like,
are you for real?
Yeah, swear to God, you could ask anybody that. That is not a secret, for sure. And I hope someone who's listening to this and are like, oh my God, I'm one of those people, could drop a comment, please back me up, because I'm telling you, that's a normal thing. You burn your clothes after you leave Jay's. Yeah. You don't take that into even in your house. So
what's like a in your opinion, having kept retics and everything, like what's the minimum enclosure size?
I hate to say this because like I could tell you like what I feel like you could get away with.
Well,
But
tell me. Okay, not minimum. Ideal. I don't want minimum because minimum could be something pretty atrocious for a snake.
right now, are we talking something that is a locality specific, like a certain small retic, or are we talking a mainland? What are we talking?
Yeah, let's say you said, you know what, I'm going to get this pure mainland locality, and I'm going to keep it right, and somebody said, yeah, I'm going to build you a facility just for this animal.
Yeah.
Like, what size enclosure are you doing?
I would do like the size of this room. I would literally go from wall to wall. Like I would do a walk-in type enclosure with crazy like. Have you ever seen Reptarium? You ever seen Barchek's place?
Oh yeah.
You see where the anaconda's at? How there's water flowing like that?
Yeah.
I would put that. Like I would go ballistic, all for one big snake. I would. I really would. Shout out to Eric Lee. Eric Lee's somebody definitely. If you want me, I don't really pay attention to the red chick world anymore. There's a couple guys out there I feel like that are just, man, they're meant for it, and I respect the shit out of them. But for me, because of all this, and just had a bad taste in my mouth, and I kind of just disconnected myself. But I still will always give props where it needs to be given. And Eric Lee, and if you don't know him, I definitely recommend you looking him up. But Eric Lee's,
oh yeah, I've heard him on Retic Lounge.
yeah, he's probably the best. The most highly respected retic keepers we have today, especially in the super dwarf game, because he's the one really working with like legit locality specific tiny super dwarves, man. Like I've seen his stuff. I've never seen so tiny animals my entire life, and this guy got it down. So, but yeah, what were we saying before? Oh, I'm sorry. So Eric Lee is actually building. I don't know where he's at with this now, but he made basically a new remodeled reptile room that he did with his garage, similar to mine, but a whole wall is dedicated to his big. I think it's a Moschino female. Like I think she's like 18 feet. She's humongous. Yeah, she's humongous. And he gave her a whole wall. I think the wall's like 23 feet long. I think it's like 16 feet tall. And I haven't talked to Eric in a while, so I don't know where he's at with this, but like that's what he's doing for his one of his mainlands, you know.
I think Brandon Wheeler has a nice setup too.
Yeah. Oh
like,
yeah. Shout out to Brandon. Big time. Yeah. For
yeah,
scale.
he's
sure.
like he like did it right, and he's just like, this is my pet retic, and he's got that dope enclosure with the water basin and the drain and all that cool shit.
Yeah, Brandon's a real one, man. Brandon's like, a lot of people don't know that Brandon's been in the game for a while. Like he was putting out YouTube video, like really crazy reptile YouTube videos in like 2009 and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's been around, like, and he's my age, so it's like I like Brandon because I came in a lot later than Brandon, but I'm also his age, and so we just connect a lot in that way. And so he's helped. He's this guy knows the stuff. He actually is he just remodeled a whole brand new reptile room, which is really really cool. So yeah, shout out to Brandon. He's really awesome. You've had him on here at least once, right?
Yeah, I had him on, and then I bought diamond pythons from him.
Dude, the fact that and that's another thing. Shout out to Brandon. Like some people just got their niche in this game, like what they're good at. And obviously Brandon, amazing carpet python breeder. And he got those diamonds, you know what I mean, outside. Like to get a diamond clutch from outside in Southern California, like who the hell else is doing that? Like normally you can only get away with that, and like I can't even say Florida because Florida gets too warm. These diamonds need to get put into like the low 60s and shit like that. So yeah, he did it, man. I'm super proud of Brandon for that one for sure.
Yeah, he inspired me to keep diamonds outside. I mean, that's what I plan on doing. I mean, we get down into the 40s at night, so it's I'm hoping that it'll get cold enough,
Yeah, definitely. He whatever he did, I kind of saw his setup, the nest, like the little nest box that he did for him to keep him warm, and yeah, he did it. And I wish him success again. Hopefully he gets another clutch soon. That'd be cool.
Do you have any carpet pythons?
Nah, I what's crazy is as I was getting all into chondros, I was looking at a lot of the Jags, like, man, I will say psychotic reptiles or something. It was somebody who was in a band. I can't remember. He was in a band and he used to vent all these shows and had a really cool display of Jag carpets and like the zebras, and and I was like all obsessed with them at that time, and I always loved them, but I never dived into them because I also knew they got a little bit bigger than chondros. I just knew I wanted space for chondros. I was like, if I'm going to use up space, it's going to be for chondros. And so I just always picked chondros over carpets. I looked at them pretty similar, but I was like, in my eyes, I think chondros are cooler, but I love carpets too. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I just never dabbled into the carpets. No.
If you had to have one, either a retic or a berm, which one would you get?
Berm.
Just more chill, better pet.
Dude, yeah, they talk about like puppy tame. And I like I said, God bless all the passionate retic keepers out there, but I would never want to call a retic a puppy tame just because, like, I'm sorry, but it's like it's cute. I get it. But berms, there are legit big puppy, big berms out there. And I used to have one. I had a couple berms. And her name was Pebbles. Oh, she was sweet. She was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew how big she was going to get, but I ended up parting ways with her as well when I got rid of all the retics, because it was like a big snake ship selling in my life. Like, you guys got to go. And luckily I found all great homes for them. Like, they all went to like highly respectable retic keepers and berm keepers, but berms are for sure, bro. Like, I feel like the best big pet snake out there in this hobby is a berm. For sure, 100%.
Yeah, it was it was a different vibe when Dr. Tillis pulled out. He put away the retic, and the cage that he had for the retic, like the door came off, and he could hold it as a shield.
Yeah,
like and he's like, he got her back in, and then he like pulled out the berm, and it was just a totally different vibe. He's just like right around his neck. She comes like right up to his face, and you could just see he was calm. He was like, this is it was just a different thing. And yeah, if I could have a berm, I'd totally have a berm. I wish I could have one.
I don't want to call them like dopey, like they're not more like I don't call them like less smart or anything. They're
just chill.
They just don't care as much. They're just like, I'm cool. Like, you know what I mean? And it's also like, it's all the way to the point where you got that food in front of them and then they snap out of it. Like, a retic is going crazy when he knows food's in the room. Like, it's going to go like, oh my God. I've had my big berm who's just sitting there and I literally have to nudge it and like, hey, I got food for you. And it goes, oh, hey. I'm like, wow, and meanwhile, my retic above it, I'm like, you know what I mean? And
it's just a water change today, buddy.
Right? No, right? And dude, back then I used to breed rats like almost in the same room I had all my snakes. Okay.
Oh.
Stupidest thing ever. And I know some people, they don't have a choice. And I hope you only have ball pythons if you are doing that. But if you have retics and you're breeding rodents in the same vicinity, dude, they're always going to be fired up. It's always going to be a spicy day in that room.
Do you still breed your own rodents or no?
I just revisited that chapter today. I just got a rodent rack that my buddy Nick built for me, a custom rodent rack that he did, which was like, I told myself, you're not building your next one. You're going to get a freaking freedom breeder. You're going to go professional. But my homie Nick's really like, he's a licensed contractor. Like, he knows how to build, and so I know my other one was a little like not perfect. And so he was able to get these things like basically where nothing's going to escape. And I love them. So yeah, I got my rat rack today. Gonna go after this. Got to go to go get food, go get bedding, and then I'm going to be breeding my own rodents again. Just because I don't have a choice, man. It's been rough lately over here with the rodent supply. And it's very eye opening. I used to preach this on every episode. Like, you better breed your own rats. And this whole time I'm getting hooked up by the same guy who's been hooking me up for 8 years. And then it finally happened. He's like, dude, we can't do every week. And then it went from like, I can't do every 2 weeks. And I'm like, what do you mean? And then, and now I'm having to go, fish for rodents. And guess what? I'm paying normal people prices now. And it's like, I'm like, dude, this is not like sustainable. Cause now I'm paying at least $1,000 a month in rodents, at least.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Right. And that's been going on for 5 months now.
Now, it's kind of cool that you're going to breed them yourself, right? Because you can make it as ethical as possible. The quality of the food that they're getting. Are you like, what are you going to do as far as diet? Are you just going to do like a rat chow, or are you going to do like a higher quality diet?
So for the rats, I'm going to do Missouri. I'm just going to do Missouri feed, and I'm going to probably supplement some cool stuff. I don't know. Like I've never had to feel like a need to give a rat, other than a good kibble diet, which I think Missouri is the best. Personally, I admit there might be better stuff out there, but I've always used Missouri with rats, and I see them grow good and they look beautiful. Now with the Kenya River hamsters that I'm going to be breeding. Did you get
What
that?
is that? What was that wink?
Well, you could delete this, but ASFs are illegal in California.
Oh, okay.
We call
All
them.
right.
We call.
Well, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, those Kenya River hamster wraps will be. I give them blackbird seeds. I give them hard boiled eggs. I give them some veggies. I give them some carrots.
Oh, wow.
I give the say it so bad. I give them a whole nother like supplemental diet, like which it's only good because I see the way they grow. I'm basing everything off the growth and how they look. And do any of these like mice species like have tumors on them? And they don't. Like if you feed them right, good stuff. So
Interesting.
yeah, I'm gonna be doing just those two rodents prey items for right now. And then of course my freezer stays full of quail. I implement quail a lot to almost everything. All my breeder males, I'll tell you right now, all my breeder chondro males, and even some of my emeralds, they're just on quail. I feed them extra small quail.
Nice.
And they look great, like, and mind you, because I usually feed rats. And so, when you have something on rats for so long and you want to kind of, all right, get not necessarily like make them skinnier, but lean them out a little bit, like what is more or less fatty of a prey than a quail? You know what I mean?
Super lean.
Yeah. And you also have that yolk and or not the extra small one, the yolk's gone. But when it comes to feeding a day old quail, dude, their stomach's full of yolk. And it's still like an egg inside that quail. You know what I mean? And I know this because they pop. Do you feed baby quail to anything?
Yeah, I've gotten a couple things from who is it?
Blake?
No. Who's that? Rodent Pro. I've gotten
okay.
I've gotten like 3 different size quail from them.
Yeah.
And you know what's kind of weird? I had a jungle that would only eat drop feed like quail and chicks in his tub. And I recently moved him into an enclosure, and now he is constantly hunting and wants to eat everything. He ate a rat last night. First time ever.
I must feel great.
Oh man, it felt so good.
Yeah, what's crazy that you say that? I'm thinking, because I have a couple gravid chondro females, and everyone typically goes to a 6-quart tub to establish their baby neos, and you do have a lot of them to where once they wrap and hit the floor and feel the floor, they let go. They don't like to feel the floor. So I might, if I have ones that are being stubborn like that, I might just put them in a 16-quart or something a lot bigger to where if they drop, they're not hitting the floor. You know what I mean? They're kind of hanging there like they would on a branch. And I'm just wondering, I'm just going to see if that works versus having to, sit there and mess with it all the time. So yeah, I think some of these might be a personality thing. Like some of these snakes feel better eating in a bigger environment versus a smaller one. But that's why you got to pay attention and really feel the animal out and, just figure out the personality of it. I feel like.
Let's talk about picky eaters. 'Cause I mean, you got to deal with that a lot, right? With chondros. I mean, it's like, how do you, what's in your tool chest for dealing with something that doesn't want to eat?
So chick down, which is quail down, so it's either from a button quail or a day old quail. I like to collect from the chest and under the chin. Like that's the good stuff. I feel like I get a bag full of that, which I replace every 30 days or something. Like I don't like to keep it because it could get salmonella. I think I'm saying that right. So you got to be careful with that, or keep it refrigerated. So I have that ready to rock. And I have my geckos, man. I have my crested geckos. I have 3 colony of crested geckos that give me eggs like every 2 months. And when I mean eggs, I'm collecting like 20 or 30 of them at a time. It's really cool.
Shoot.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then I hatch those out, and then they go to the freezer right after they're born. And so I have a lot. I have just over 60 crested geckos in my freezer.
Whoa.
Yeah, just in case, because I have one now. My most runtiest neonate just finally started eating fuzzy after eating 30 crested geckos. And he did, and I was trying to experiment. I'm like, all right, if that's what it wants to eat, that's what it's going to eat. And then I just noticed he wasn't growing. Like he was maintaining, but I wasn't seeing like any growth. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So then I started hitting him with 2, and then he would kind of like, but then even then noticing like he's barely shitting. I'm like, dude, he needs more. Like there has to. I either got to give him a bigger gecko, because mind you, a lot of these geckos are fresh out of the egg, and then they're put down. But now I'm like, just like a rodent prey size, how you move up, it's going to need a bigger gecko at some point, right? And so I'm like, all right, I need to figure this out. And so, but luckily, like I said, I just one day, well, what it was is I fed it a gecko, and I remember I was telling you, I was like, it needs more. It was still hungry, and then I offered it a scented fuzzy, and it ate the fuzzy. So it had 2 meals. It ate the gecko, and it ate the fuzzy. And so I'm like, oh God. And so I didn't even wait. 3 days later, I opened it up, and it's all acting hungry again. I'm like, oh, here we go. And so I went and I tried without sending it, and it ate it without sending it. And now he's like, that's like 6 fuzzies later. He just ate yesterday. Now he's on fuzzies, but he's runty. It's small. You know what I mean? But it ate. It got it to eat. Finally. So with that being said, like if I have, mind you, my goal is to make some crazy designer stuff. I have my locality stuff. I'm getting my pure locality badges out of the way now, so I could say I did do pure locality stuff. But I'm going to be making some crazy, nasty designer stuff. And so if I have a crazy looking baby that I don't want to kick the can, like I don't want it to not, be here, then I'm going to give it geckos. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to figure it out what I need to do. And so I feel like that's been the biggest tool for me, is like, the geckos, man. And mind you too, even before I even had to feed some of these Neo's geckos, they would take a button quail. But the thing is, they can't take a button quail as a first meal. Like
it's too big.
No, it's too big. Yeah. I think even, and I had some pretty good sized BX that I was like, ooh, I had like, and I know this for a fact because I tried it. I tried it with one, and it ended up regurgitating it, not fully. Like it wasn't like fully down. It got like halfway, and then realized, I don't want to eat it, and it spat it out. And so I was like, okay, never do that again. And so then I had some that were just really monster eaters, and they're about 6, 7 pinks in, and then I offered it a button quill, and it ate it, no problem. But I also offer, at that young of a stage, I offer the button quill with no feet and no head, just the torso and the wings. And so I did that with a good amount of the batch that I had on last year, and it worked great. So I would say chick down, quail down, button quail, and geckos. Those, like, if you're going to be breeding chondros, you want those 3 things in your toolbox ready to rock and roll at all times.
Do you think if it wasn't for those geckos, you would have lost that snake?
100%. Yes.
Wow.
Yep. I mean,
and it seems like it'd be such a senseless loss, because if you can get it to eat lizards, right? That's probably what they're eating in the wild.
So I could have done this. This is what people do. They assist feed, right? I could have assist feed, but I didn't want to assist feed. Like I wanted to, like, because it's not fair, right? Like if you're giving it something it's not naturally here to eat, then why are you going to shove it down its throat? Like, why not give it something it wants to eat? And so I noticed something that just didn't want nothing to do with the pink, all of a sudden attack a gecko. It's like, well, hello. Like, and shout out to Ryan Young. He's fresh off a chondro trip, and he had all these pictures of these little skink species of lizards that were all over the wild over there. So that's what they get. That's their first prey item, is a lizard for the most part. And I asked him too, I was like, because obviously you can't really tell the size when it's in your hand, but I'm like, hey, is that size perfect for a day old chondro? And he's like, it's perfect size for a freshly hatched chondro. And I'm like, well, there you go. So yeah, I really want it. And I do want to say, I get a lot of people who hit me up saying, MJ, like, I started breeding my own geckos and it's all because of you. I do want to say mad props to Kenny from Morelia Island. That's Vin Russo's apprentice. Do you know who that is? Kenny?
Yeah, I've seen him. He's been on some pictures on your Instagram recently, right?
Yeah, that's my boy, man. I've known him for good handful of years now, and he gave me this. He tossed me this bone on a podcast that we were on a couple years back, and he told me like how he doesn't worry about any chondro that doesn't eat, because all he does is grab a baby gecko, toss it in there, and it's gone. And that's another thing too, man. Like we're talking like, if you have live geckos, you set it and forget it. You toss it in there, give it 3 minutes, it's gone. You know what I mean? So people in the chondro world that breed are not used to that. They're used to sitting there with their back broken, like, oh, please eat. Like, losing their mind. Like you have people who left the game because of that. You know what I mean? Because they just didn't know. And then back then, nobody wanted to even mess with lizards or whatever because they thought they're all from the wild. Like they're scared of parasites or whatever the hell. No, man. Well, these cresses are produced here in the trap. Like I'm making these. These aren't being purchased from any website or anything. Like I'm producing these. So I know firsthand there's nothing wrong with these geckos. You know what I mean? I even tested the breeders that I got in. I panel tested to make sure they had nothing going on. And yeah, everything was good. So yeah,
who did you do that panel test through?
Rao.
Okay. And is that like fecal and saliva?
Yeah, they no, it was just their it's just their poop. It was just their poop.
Okay.
Yeah. It was just
and they're good to go. No parasites.
No parasites. Yeah, they're all good. So
do you feed them crickets or just a pre-mixed diet or like a mixed diet?
Just a powder. Yeah, I've thrown crickets in there. They don't even eat them. I mean, you have some of the males that go ballistic, but for the most part, I'm always taking crickets out of there. So I'm like, I'm not going to give you guys crickets. Like, you're not going to eat them. Like, so I just give them powder. Powder is like the thing I do twice a week. It's very easy, man. Like those, man, I wish my tree monitors will breed like that. That'd be awesome. Because I don't even put thought into it. Anytime I go in there to give them food or something, I'll dig around their little soil nest thing that I have for them, and I'll pull eggs out. I'm usually pulling eggs out like every other time I'm in there. So it's pretty cool.
And what do you do with the eggs once you have them?
So I literally put them in these little storage container little storage containers that are full with perlite, and then I spray the perlite real well, and I'll put like a little another tiny layer of dry perlite on top of that, and then I put the eggs in there directly, and then I literally keep them in this room. It's in the trap, like outside the trap. It's on the incubator. I literally let them cook in my room, and it works. So it's
how many days normally?
Like 2 months.
That's not bad.
No, like 2 months. Yeah, it's not bad because once they start laying, it's like, oh wow, more. And once you get the babies, like, and here's the thing. Now, what I'm doing, just in case I run into this situation where I'm like, okay, this chondro is on its 12th gecko, I want to have some bigger ones available. You know what I mean? So now what I'm doing is instead of putting them down right away, I'm getting them established, which is kind of sucks, but I'm getting them established, getting a meteor, and then I'm putting them down. So I have bigger size prey items. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, I thought about it, like just getting a pair of crusteds off of Craigslist or something, and keeping them just for that.
That's what I did. I mean, I got one group from Ryan Young, and the other two group came from a girl on Instagram who just happened to be in my area who put them on Craigslist because she just couldn't get rid of them. And I'm like, I'll take them. So I bought 2 groups from her, 1.3 each for $300.
Nice.
So, thank you. And they're in a nice Sterilite tub. Sorry, don't attack me out there, but yeah, they're in a nice Sterilite tub with a substrate. I have cork wood in there and fake plants and little elevated water dishes, and they just live their life doing their thing. The male has 3 chicks to go through, so having a good time.
Nice.
Yeah.
How many chondros are you producing a year?
I mean, dude, I've been through a lot with the chondros. Last year was my most successful year, and I only had one clutch that gave me a 100% hatch rate. The other ones were last year was a brutal year because I had 3 chondros slug out, and then my emerald tree boa that was gravid ended up dying with 9 inside of her, and I had that was brutal. But I did have a little bit of a taste of winning with the clutch I had in September for my Numford Island female. She gave me 16 good eggs. All 16 came out. I'm sorry, 15 good eggs. All 15 hatched out, perched. Like I finally got a taste of that like glory of like, oh my God, they're all here. You know what I mean? And they all ate. I maybe had, like I said, I had a couple that were stubborn, but I gave them a gecko and they ate. So that was cool. That was but then what happened after that? I was expecting my very first designer clutch from a girl that was a Vinsky Blue Line BAC girl. My first design I ever got in 2017 from a good friend of mine. And she ended up passing away due to egg bound.
Oh man.
Yeah. So she ovulated, didn't give me a pre-lay shed. Thought everything was fine because I've had snakes not get pre-lay sheds, but I will say, even though it's not the end of the world, not having a pre-lay shed is like, you should be concerned, like be ready. Like that's not really a good thing. Even though people had it, it's not really a good thing out there, people. So just be aware. Because now if I ever have a girl who gives me who doesn't give me a pre-lay shed, I'm going to soak her. I'm going to make sure she's hydrated. And because what happened, Adam, was the female who was going through the motions, she ovulated. I noticed she wasn't going to give me no pre-lay shed. And I was tracking the days of the ovulation because it's usually about day 40-ish to 50, like is when they lay after ovulation. And so I noticed her being very like all over the enclosure. I'm like, okay, this is it. And so what I do now, whenever there's a female ready to lay, I take them out and I put them in the Freedom Breeder rack system that I have some of my adult ball pythons in. And so what I'll do is I'll put a towel down, I'll put sphagnum moss, and I'll put a hide in there and make sure it's all good. And then I put them in there. And I'll usually do that a week from them laying. And I know that they're ready because they get really like, they get restless. They don't stop moving. They're trying to find a place to nest. And so she did all that, put her away. And I saw her go into the hide and I'm like, okay. And so I went to go look at her and I could see all the eggs. Like she dropped them like in her, like by her cloaca. And I'm like, ooh, I was like, she's about to lay. And so I was really excited because I thought, oh, she's about to push him out. Whole day goes by, no eggs. I'm like, okay, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow comes. And then I go down and look, and now you see her body stretched out with all the eggs, and she just like is like laying there like don't know what to do. And I'm like, oh man. And I'm like taking pictures and trying to tell myself, oh, she's gonna get him out. She's gonna get him out. But no, she was completely egg bound. And so after a day and a half of just not knowing what to do, Ryan Young was like, just get in there, MJ. Like you got to intervene, just help her out. And I'm like, all right. So I initially was able to get one egg out by assisting her. And then after popping that egg out, a bunch of freaking urates and like shit came out, which isn't common, right? Like normally when a chondro lays in a clutch, there might be a couple urates, but there's no shit. Like it's all gone to the eggs. Like it's all like, you know what I mean? So when I was pushing all this shit on, I'm like, dude, she was backed up. Like she was backed up. Like this is really old urate. You can just tell by a snake's shit, like how old it is. Like normally when the brown stuff comes out, it's like, it's soft, right? This shit was hard. Like the brown stuff was hard. And I'm like, this is not good. So as soon as I got all that shit out, the eggs just came out. Like they were just one by one by one by one. And I'm like, oh my God. And so she ended up
Were they slugs?
No, they're beautiful white eggs. They weren't slugs. And the eggs were huge. Like that's another thing I was tripping out over. This was my smallest female. I should have weighed her, but she was 7 years old and very mature. So I'm like, why am I going to weigh her? I mean, like they don't weigh in the wild, like, and even my Numfer girl, who was just about the same size, just gave me perfect 15 eggs. So, I'm thinking like, but these eggs were big, bro. Like these eggs were a lot bigger than any chondro egg I ever saw. So I don't know why the eggs were so big. But none of them were good. Unfortunately, they all crashed like literally 2 days after I put them in the incubator. And as I got the last egg out of her, she died in my hands, which was terrible. Like literally just collapsed in my hands. And I'm like, oh my God. So yeah, bro. So that's my last chondro, like experience was that. And now I have, and I get it. Like it is like I'm not the only one who's gone through this situation. I know now, right? Like I said, the fact that she was all backed up, like if I was kind of on top of her, like, okay, she's not giving me a pre-lay shed. Let me hydrate her. Cause a lot of people like to soak their females before they lay. Mark Hager does that. I don't know if Patrick still does. Bill Stiegel does that. They'll make sure they are fully hydrated. And if I was doing that on this female, she more than likely would have shit all that out. She would have got that out, but I didn't stimulate anything, just because I left her alone, So, and like I said, Dan, nothing you could beat yourself up over, and all you could do is pay attention to that for the next one. And that's kind of how this chondro game is, man. Like you're going to get a little bit of luck, if not luck in the beginning, and then you're eventually going to get hit hard with some truth and some like, okay, now I learned my lesson on that one. So, but yeah, we'll see, man. So like that was my last, I guess loss with the chondros, which came right after a win. But now I have 3 gravid females right now. Well, actually, no, I think 4 gravid at this point. And then I have 3 more I need a pair that I know lay around June. So I have opportunities to hit 7 chondro clutches this year. You know what I mean?
Nice.
So like that's why I'm like, all right, I always chalk up whatever it is for what it is and just get ready for the next one, So I can't say I've had crazy production yet, at least, but I feel like I'm there. Like I feel like it's coming. But yeah, last year I had the one neonate that came from a clutch of 18 slugs. Okay. So Mimi dropped 18 slugs, but one of them were good. And I was like, oh my God, the little egg that could. And I remember Garrick from House of Blue was like, MJ, you could toss that egg. Like it's not going to go. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, we'll see. And ended up hatching, went the distance. That's Fish, my homie Fish, doing great. And then after Fish, I got those, that clutch of 15. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, it's been a crazy, just like roller coaster, but also like, I will admit a lot of the errors I had with my clutches previous was user error, not having a good incubator that's dialed in, fucking with things when you shouldn't fuck with them. Like just a lot of like, like I'm a very hands-on person and there's some things you just need to like not put your hands on once it's done. And so I learned that a lot also with my breeding, because this is my 7th year breeding chondros, which is crazy, like literally my 7th year. And this is gonna, and I've had 8 clutches. So I just don't have the numbers like with all my experience, but now I have the numbers, like meaning like I never had this many females ready to breed. I never had what I have now. Everything that I've done in the past was just like one pairing for the year. Let me try it. But now for the last 2 years, I have the numbers, which anyone knows in breeding anything, you need numbers. If numbers are on your side, you're going to get success somewhere. So
how do you feel if somebody is looking at green tree pythons and they're like, oh man, I'm gonna get these and invest and I'm gonna make some money off of these?
Oh, what a cute guy. Oh, he's excited. I look at it like, because the thing with me, and I swear to God, I mean this, I never gave 2 shits about the money. Only because I thought, how much cooler would it be to say I bred a chondro? Like, and back then people were telling me like, dude, don't do it. Like if you're sensitive, this isn't for you. Like I was almost being convinced not to keep chondros at one point. And I'm kind of the person, when you do that to me, I'm going to do the opposite. And so, but yeah, dude, oh man, it's just, yeah. So when people say that, I can only think, okay, listen, they're excited. I get it, but God bless, dude. Like you're going to find out, like, you know what I mean? And that's why it's just like, I used to always want to say something, but there's nothing for me to say at this point. Like you'll find out. And
you just have to go on the journey yourself.
You really do, man. But you have to pay attention to where, like, a lot of this advice I'm giving you, a lot of people give this advice. So if you're hearing a lot of the same advice, you should probably take that advice. Like there's people who come into this with money and they think, well, I got this. Like I bought this snake from this person. I know it's going to breed. I know that you can't guarantee nothing with breeding. Like nothing. I don't care. All your whole chondro collection come from Bill Stiegel. It doesn't mean shit. Like you don't know what these animals are going to do for you. Like I finally have a female that my favorite looking Biak. She's 7 years old, about to finally give me her first ovulation. You know what I mean? Like, and I've been trying to breed her for 4 years. So, dude, and if you're willing to wait, like if you're somebody where, like I said, if it's not about the timeline and the money, then dude, you're going to have a good time, because keeping these are easy. Keeping these are fun. They're easy. It's when you breed them, that's when shit kind of turns the corner a little bit. And what I mean by that is like, you have to get more dialed in. You have to start paying attention more. You can't really go on like crazy vacations and say, F it, no, you got to pay attention to all this stuff. Otherwise you're going to miss certain cues. But like, that comes with the growth. Like thing I love about chondros that is the opposite of ball pythons. Ball pythons, you could get a male to breed in 6 months and you get a female to breed within after 2 years. Like if you feed her right. You can't do that with chondros. Good luck. Like you can't. I mean, you could get lucky with a 3.5, 4-year-old female, but it's not normal. It's not common. And it's also something where if you try to get this chondro to breed at a young age, she's not going to live a long life. Breeding really takes a lot out of them. Like you won't find one chondro who's who's been here on Earth for 15 years and has laid a clutch every single year. That doesn't happen. You get a girl that laid clutch after clutch after clutch, she's gonna be dead by she's 10. Promise you. And that's another thing too. Like you gotta be willing to say, all right, I'm gonna give this girl the year off. I don't need to breed you. Like, and that's the thing. Like, it's can't rush it, and you literally just got to be in it for the right reason. Because people get really bad luck. I feel like I've had good luck, even though my clutches experience has been crazy. With these animals still being alive, and I'm doing well establishing, I feel like I've had good luck. Some people have bad luck just keeping them alive, and so even though it's not common, you just don't know what luck people are going to have. Like that's why I go, man, I'm not going to stop you, but let me know how it goes.
Yeah. How do you feel about like wild caught or farm bred versus just getting captive bred right off the bat?
I mean, dude, I my whole foundation of females that are breeding are imports. But only because that's what I could afford then. I had no choice. I remember looking at Bill Stiegel stuff and I'm like, what's like, yeah, right. I'll never afford that. But I was like, it can't keep me from making chondros. And then I also found out that all the stuff that Bill has came from locality stuff. So I'm like, huh, cool. I was like, I'll just get these localities and just bring them back to each other. That's my game plan. And so that's what I did. But I had a homie named like the homie Joe who was hooking me up, and like some of the stuff I was getting in would die. And I would be like, yo, what was this? And so he would hook me up with something else. And so I got lucky there. Like if something went bad, Joe would replace it. And so I never really was losing. I was always like, okay, I finally got something good. But then obviously as I was maturing into things and becoming friends with people like Bill and Marshall and Socrates and Gary, the list goes on. I was like, dude, I want to like, I want to put some crazy stuff into these pure stuffs. But like, dude, that's where it started for me. So I don't knock it, but I got to tell you right now, there was nowhere near the amount of United States captive born and bred available back then like there is now. Dude, you could literally get yourself a nice pure locality for like $800, and right now, if you buy an import, you're going to pay at least $500. So that $300 difference from an import to me, that's a no-brainer. Like, I'm sorry, save up $300 more and just buy a United States captive born and bred from a legitimate breeder. Start with a yellow. I don't care. Like, start with something that you want, and that's something you want to make sure you could that's fitting for you. You got to make sure you can keep it alive, right? So, and then that's also another thing too. Like, if you come across an import on a table and it looks good, and you want to try it. But you also know the other things that come with it, and understand a vet bill more than likely is going to come with it. Understand, you got to treat it with parasites. You got to nido test it. Like, those are things you should, if not have to do when getting something that's imported. Otherwise, you're just playing a stupid game of risk, and it's not worth it. So yeah.
Is it normal for breeders to do nido testing on their babies?
Yes, even though people are not doing it, which is unfortunate. And not everyone, like, okay, I know Bill Stiegel will sell you a baby, and not all his, and like, if you request a nido test, he'll do it for you, but he won't do it unless you request it. Because at the end of the day, like, you should test your own animals. Like, you should never take anyone's word for it. You can take it for what it is. Like, okay, he's telling me it's clean, so at least you have that documented. But when you get that snake, you should still test it. Always, doesn't matter. So it is a common thing for sure. And I know a lot of buyers are educated on this because there's a situation happening in the hobby right now as we speak. But like, when you get a snake in from whoever, you nido test it yourself. You don't play around. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, an animal could test negative in a breeder's hands and then go through the stress of shipping and test positive.
Yep.
I mean, when I was talking to Dr. Tillis, he told me that he had a snake for 5 years that he tested numerous times, like twice a year.
Yep.
Negative every single time for 5 years, MJ, for 5 years.
It's crazy.
And then it was breeding season and it was in shed. And it got the slightest bit of mucus, and he saw that mucus and he grabbed a sample and it was positive.
Yep. Yeah, man. It's crazy, dude, because like this Nido comes in levels. Like there's certain levels of Nido, and then you have some of these chondros who are just good at hiding it, and just like they could live with it until the certain stress point in their life happens, and then boom, they get hit with it, and then they tank. And what sucks is when they're that vulnerable, like when they're that level, and let's say they're paired up with another snake, that snake's toast. Like that's when like this strong chondro that was holding this Nido is going to give this shit out to something that's not that strong at having it. Like you have some, like I said, you have some snakes that can handle this Nido better than others, but then you have some that just can't handle it and they show right away. But I also know, like, dude, Nido only increases more and more. Like the more you keep not dialing your shit and your biosecurity is all fucked up, you're just doing here, doing that. Dude, it's just a matter of time for sure. And mind you, dude, I don't wear gloves between animals. I work certain rooms only. So, for instance, if I have a day where I have to do ball python stuff, I won't come to this room until I shower. Like I'll do all my ball python stuff, and like, I mean, I'll come in here, but I'm not working this enclosure side of stuff until I go shower. And then once I shower, then I do this room. And same thing, no gloves. I just, unless I'm spot cleaning, then I'll use gloves. Just take the shit. But normally I'm taking out all my snakes. I'm handling them. Because this room is so like, bro, there's nothing, there's no stranger danger in this room right now. Like this room was fully tested 2 years ago. And I do know it's probably due to be tested again, but at the end of the day, it's like this. If something has fucking Nido, right? Like if this chondro right here dies of Nido, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll test everything and maybe some will come, but what am I going to do? Like this room now becomes closed off. Like this room is like nothing could be added to this room ever again. That's the thing. Like I would literally have to, this would become a Nido room, unfortunately. Or just like, at least I would tell myself, you can't add anything else in this room. You could breed what's in this room, take the babies out. Cause luckily we know that babies aren't born with the Nido. And you could immediately put them in their own room. And again, this sounds really stressful. I hope this never happens. But again, at the end of the day, it's like, you could only work with what you see visibly is wrong with an animal. But you have to you have to at least address it. And what I mean by that, if you are somebody who has a collection and you see something has Nido, don't add anything to it. You need to close it off. You need to close the room off, and you can't sell any of those animals unless you have somebody who has a Nido room. Like Patrick has a dedicated room just to Nido positive chondros that he breeds. And that's fucking
awesome.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome. And he's made crazy babies from that stuff. And so, you know, it's not like a death door thing where like, okay, now you have to sign out of the hobby and like burn all your stuff. No,
I think that's nonsense. Yeah.
It's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. Because I'll tell you, one of the things that one of my best friends who's no longer with us, Forrest Fanning, told me, like I looked up to this guy so much to when he finally came into my snake room. Imagine who's the guy you look up to the most right now, Adam? Like who's a good snake homie of yours who's never been in your house, but if he was at your door, you'd be like, "Oh my God, let's go!" Like who is that?
Oh man,
anyone that stands out?
That's too hard of a question.
Okay, let's say you had the answer to that question, right?
Yeah,
this guy was him. Forrest Fanning was that guy for me. So I never forget looking out my window. He's walking up the driveway. He was a big dude, like 6'5", big dude. And I'm like, oh my God, Forrest is here. And so I open up my trap and I'm like, what's up, dude? He's like, what's up, MJ? He walks in, looks around. He goes, yeah, everything has Nido in here. I was like, what? He's like, dude, I told you he hooked me up with the import guy. So he knew where all my snakes were coming from.
Yeah.
Okay? And I wasn't testing back then. This is 2017, 2018. I think this is more like 2019. So I didn't know about Nido until he said that in my room. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I remember hearing it on a podcast, but not really educated on it. And Nido to me was like AIDS. Like Nido, like everything's gonna die. Like, and so when he told me that, it was such a like my heart dropped to the floor because I'm like, dude, he thinks everything in here is gonna die. But then he explained to me how a lot of people like have snakes with Nido and they've had snakes for years and they don't even know it. Like it's almost something that we all have. I'm not saying it like, so almost what he was saying was true in a sense, right? Like if you have a room full of this many reptiles and it came from all over here, Nido's in this room somewhere. You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So, and that was another big reason why I was like, okay, I need to separate some of the shit I love into its own room. and I need to test it. So that's exactly what I did. Once my wife at the old house said, all right, you can put everything in your podcast room. And I did. Socrates and I, that's when him and I became good friends, and he sent me swabs. He was like, dude, he was like he still is my mentor, like my life coach, really. But he's like, I got you, bro. I'm going to teach you how to nido test. And I ended up nidoing all my females then. And yeah, I went and tested everything. And yeah, but again, I also think like, okay, like it's not the end of the world. Like, and I feel like there's people out there who've gone through this that could help you. And I like to create awareness that nido isn't the end of the world. You should be more terrified of mites or like, that's transmission like that. Like nido, you got to put the damn snake in the same enclosure for the most part. They got to drink out of the same dish. There has to be some sort of saliva swap. Okay. So I'm not going to say it's like it's hard. You can still make it happen, but like mites, dude, they'll go from one rack to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next. Like, and people don't understand, like, dude, mites is something to be scared of. Okay.
Mites. I mean, when you're quarantining an animal, it's for mites. Like that's what you're looking for, maybe something else to show up. You want to be able to look at their stool and their urates and all that. But if you bring mites into a clean collection, oh man, that's
a nightmare. And I went through that in the beginning, like, you know, like I said, adding stuff left and right, not really giving a shit about quarantine. I dealt with mites for like 2 years, bro. It was terrible. And finally, once I would say I was about miteless a year from me moving from my last house, and I came into here and I haven't had mites since that old house. Like, man, it's just, I can't believe the shit I went through with that. But I'm also like, dude, not a lot of people are even like they're all preaching about nido, but I'm like, you know how fucking bad mites are? You know what I mean? Like, dude, and we're talking like, if you have a sick snake and it has this mite sucking blood out of it or whatever it's sucking out of it, and it goes to another snake, that's even worse. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and like I said, mites spread so fast. They go dormant for 90 days. People could be like, oh, I don't have mites. 90 days later, there they are. It's crazy, bro. Like mites, I read a whole study on mites. Mites are no joke.
They're no joke. And honestly, you know what? Somebody coming to my house, let's say it's Dr. Justin Julander, Dr. Warren Booth, and Dr. Stephen Tillis. That would be like the three amigos that would, you know, if they came in my house and like said something like that, I'd be like, no.
You'd be like, it's over. I'm done. Like how am I going to tell all my viewers this?
But here's the thing. What if, so like you said, you tested all your animals. They were nido negative right then. What if what if we just all as a community looked at it from a different perspective and said, maybe we all have nido.
And that's what Forrest was energy was like he wasn't saying everything has nido. You're gross. I don't have nido. He probably, he himself is like, I got nido too, for sure. Like that was his like way of it. Right. And like, again, like, dude, the whole thing of it popping up 5 years later, that's crazy, bro. Like, that's another reason why, what are you going to do? Like, you could be Mr. I'm testing my stuff this year and the next year and the next year. All right, I'm not going to test this year. It could pop up just right then and there. You know what I mean? You just got to do something about it. You either got to remove that animal, and if you don't want to shut down your room to be a nido room, then you got to remove that animal and test everything 3 times. So to Adam, I didn't really say this. To really say you tested an animal, you have to have 3 tests. You can't have just one.
Yeah.
You have to test it 3 times. So, and
that gets to be an obscene bill at a certain point.
Yeah, I think it was ridiculous. Luckily, Sock sent me the swabs and the kits, but even those tests, there were 25 a pop. You know what I mean? Each time. And I was doing it every 90 days. I did 3 tests every 90 days that year.
I just sent 3 samples to UF. It was $400.
Yeah.
You know, so and here's the thing too, is like green tree pythons, there's like 50 or 60 different strains of nido. It's not like just nido. It's 50 or 60 different forms of it. Yeah. And some are different than others, you know, some are a lot worse. But like Dr. Tilla said, sick snakes make sick snakes.
Yeah.
You know, so like if you don't have sick snakes, if they're not clinical if they're not shedding the virus. It's different than, like if one of your green tree pythons behind you is hanging off the branch with saliva coming out of its mouth and it lifts its head up and starts gasping, that's a problem, right?
Yeah. But the biggest problem of all this, Adam, is people seeing signs of this and selling the animal.
That's horrible.
That's, I mean, honestly, that's happening. It just happened not too long ago. And I'm not going to drop names. I want to be positive, but I'm just saying there's a guy who has a podcast platform talking about chondros who sold 2 positive Nido snakes. Okay. I get it. Maybe 1, that's fine. Own it, take the money back. But no, he sold 2. And again, this is what happens with learning is the guy who bought these snakes trusted the guy selling them so much, he didn't test the first snake. He thought, man, great. Snake's healthy. It's great. That second snake he sent that he shipped out. Remember I showed you pictures of it in the container?
Yeah.
That snake that ended up looking all bubbled up and sick after it came out of the container, he tested that snake. And he thought to himself, well, since I'm testing this snake, let me test that other snake I got from him. Both came back positive. Okay. So where there's smoke, there's fire. Okay.
What were those bubbles?
I think because from when I was talking to Patrick Holmes, shout out to Patrick, amazing guy. But he was telling me something with Nido has to do with the lungs bursting or like liquid gets into the lungs. And so I'm assuming something happened to where the lungs busted in this snake. And that's all those bubbles.
Oh my God.
Like air pockets of liquid from the lung, I guess. The only thing we could make, I've never seen anything like that in my entire life, Adam. Okay. And it was terrible to see, you know what I mean? And so, and that stuff like that kind of just, oh man, like, bro, us as chondro keepers, the name is everything. Like, and talk about Steve Tillis. Like, do you think as much as the stuff as much as Nido that this guy works with, do you think he would ever sell a snake like that or ever sell a snake with that has an illness like that, bro? Like that's the one thing that you, in my world, you can't come back from that. Like, you maliciously send 6 snakes out to somebody who's actually new into the hobby and trying to grow their stuff.
That's horrible.
And what's on top? Okay, and what makes everything horrible? And we don't have to get into details. The guy has to wait for a refund. The guy told him, "I will refund you in payments."
Well, dude,
I'm sorry, but what world are we living in? Like, that's not the chondro like standard, bro. Like, it shocks me so much. And so, oh yeah, I guess so. I don't know. Listen,
I laugh. It's not funny, but I laugh because it's so insane. It's so insane.
Yeah, and so, anyways, yeah, as much as like Nido is the topic, it's something where, as a keeper, we all know that it's possibly in anything that we have. We just got to do what's right by it. What you don't do is see a sign and you put that animal for sale behind the scenes and you let go of that animal. Like it's the stupidest thing you could ever do.
Yeah.
And so anyways, and again, you don't hear these stories a lot. Like, this is a shocking story in the chondro community right now. Everyone's like, what? And like very shocked. And again, but where there's smoke, there's fire. Apparently there's a track history of this happening with this individual. So there you have it. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just, I only talk about this for awareness. Like, people always test your own animals. I don't care if like if Dr. Tillis sends you a snake, test that snake. Always. He would probably tell you to test the snake. Of course. You know what I mean? So it's like, that's the thing. Like, it's,
and even talking to him, extensively last weekend, it's like, bare minimum, do a goddamn good quarantine.
Yeah.
Where you watch this animal and do you have a sick snake? Do you have something that is getting sick over the course of 6 months? For him, quarantine is a year, so, you can do the, 90 days, 6 months, a year, whatever you want. But like he said, 6 snakes make 6 snakes, so anyway, let's change gears to something more cheery.
No worries.
So what about maternal incubation? Would you ever mess with that?
Maybe, like, if I had the amount of chondros laying for me and I'm like, let's just see what happens. Maybe, but I do know, like, artificially incubating something, like, because for instance, ball pythons, right? Dude, like, so easy to hatch a ball python egg. I know there's a point where if that egg is good with chondros, it could be easy to hatch out a chondro egg. And I only know this coming off of my, my 15 snakes hatching all out and going the distance. I know that's possible. And I was able to make some adjustments with my incubation that gave me the confidence to where like I can't wait to incubate my next clutch because I want to see the ratio. Give me good eggs. All I need are the good eggs, and I want to put them in there. And so right now, maternal is not an option for me. Because I literally have my own chondro baiter. I got I'm ready to rock.
Chondro baiter.
Yeah, I got my own chondro baiter for just my chondros, and so I talked to people like Vin Russo, who's had a lot of success, and he does maternal. I will say Kenny this year. I don't mean to spill the beans, Kenny, but he's had a couple back-to-back nightmares with maternal incubating so far this year. Hopefully, it's just a fluke, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's something that people like to dabble with. I don't feel like I'm there yet, like not even close. Like I want to have great success rate artificially doing it before I even maternally do it. A lot of people do maternal because they suck at the artificial part and they rather it be on the chondro than them, but me, I'm all about that artificial for right now.
I think some people just like the experience too. I mean, it's a wild experience to be able to see that. Do you know Aussie Arboreals, Jason Patterson? He's over in Australia.
Yes, Jason Patterson for sure.
Yeah, and he maternally incubated, and god dang it, like the whole thing was so cool. The pictures are cool. I mean, it took a lot out of her. Like you could see her ribs as she was coiled on there. You saw every single rib down her body. Yeah.
And so that's another thing too. Like you're taking an extra 50 days or so of this snake not eating, you know what I mean? Which, that's what they do in the wild. And again, if you're somebody who doesn't need to breed year after year, go for it, Yeah. And for me, like, I can't wait for that experience to maternal incubate something. But right now, what's important to me is the numbers. Like I need to get my production up. Like I want more numbers to stand on what I'm talking about versus like, just me. Because I just learned a lot of trial and error stuff. And if I were to go to maternal incubating, it's back to trial and error, like all over again. And so I want to keep the ball rolling on the artificial. And like I said, maybe a few years down the road, once I feel like I got the artificial shit down for sure, I'll try it. Like I mean, what cooler picture can you take? A baby chondros coming out of a egg that the female's laying over? Like I would kill for that, to be honest. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Do you ever fill your feeders with water?
No.
So that's something that Jason does. And I just recently had him back on. And he said it's like a very common thing in Australia. Like they take a syringe, inject water into the feeder, and give it to the adults and the babies to keep them really well hydrated.
I think it's the same thing as soaking them. I mean, all my rodents are soaked. They're drenched in water. So when that snake's eating that rodent, it's literally dripping water. So I think that's doing enough versus having to get a syringe and inject it.
Yeah.
But mind you, too, if you are somebody to do the whole soaking rodent things, do individual, forceps and stuff like that. You don't want, because that is a recipe for disaster when you have a bunch of rodents in the same bucket and you're using the same forceps. And because I see a lot of the saliva from my females on the forceps after they bite the forceps. And so you just want to make sure you don't put that back in the bucket. You know what I mean? So there is definitely a biosecurity when doing that, but all my rodents that I feed to my chondros are drenched in water. Like they're soaked.
Okay.
So, and I do that for my part of the hydration. Which, I mean, I think it's definitely brilliant, injecting water, but you gotta understand there's already water fluids in a rodent itself also. So, I mean, yeah, you can increase more. I don't think it hurts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like what's easier and more realistic for me is soaking them and just, warm soak after they're thawed out and just hand them on.
Yeah. He said the pinkies look like little water balloons. Like he's like filling them up and they're like full of a couple cc's of water.
Honestly, I didn't even think about the babies. Like, I mean, now that gets me thinking a little bit like, like a baby pink injected with water. I just don't see how that's not going to freaking explode. Like, how's that not going to burst up on these damn baby chondros when they wrap? They're doing it suicidally. Like they want to kill. So, and I've had pinky burst, just without even putting water in it. So I don't know how he pulls that one off, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a hydration issue. Haven't noticed, especially after I got my room humidity, my ambient humidity where it needs to be. Man, my animals haven't looked better, man. I love it. I'm very proud of everything right now. Like everything looks great. Everything's shedding good. Everything's just looks great. Happy. So
that's awesome. So what do you want that you don't have?
Emerald litter. Oh, wait, goals wise or just animal wise?
Let's do both. I mean, we can start with goals.
Okay, yeah. So I have my gravid female. She's about day 73 post ovulation. I just would love to walk in and get my redemption. I just want to see babies. I'd be happy with one or two. Yeah, I would listen. Like you get what you get with the emeralds. I get it. You could have one beautiful one and they're all dead. You could have all dead. You could have all beautiful. I just want something. I definitely don't want nothing dead. Knock on wood. I will really hope the emerald gods up there will spare my female this year, and just like at least if it's a bad litter, she's good. Because that's I used to say this a lot. Like I get it. If the clutch is bad, as long as the female's okay, it's not a total loss in a sense. But if that female goes out, that's when you have to mark that down. You know what I mean? And so going back to me being attached to everything, I feel like, when it's my choice to breed them. And when something doesn't go through due to the breeding, you do kind of take it some type of way. So that's my hugest thing I would like is finally get an emerald, a northern emerald tree boa litter, kind of have that right down on my resume and establish that. That'd be cool. But yeah, and then other than that, like if I were to add an animal,
Bolins.
Yeah, of course. I want to say Bolins, but I'm not ready for a Bolins. Like my room, I want a bigger room. I want to dedicate like a area for the Bolins. I can't just get one, of course. If I do get a Bolins, I'm going to have to get like a pair or a trio or something.
Would you get babies or adults?
Babies for sure. Yeah, hell, you have to get babies. Yeah, no, especially with the Bolini, it's because raising it and just going through all that. I mean, and you got an animal to where if you do have breeding plans, you're asking for trouble getting something that's an adult already. Like it could go good, but then it also could just go bad too. So you're better off just raising it. Oh, I feel like when it comes to breeding anything, you're just better off raising it. So, but yeah, I mean, honestly, like nothing stands out more than a Bolini right now. Oh, I will say it's not here yet. It's coming. But I did finally add that last species of tree monitor to my room.
All right. So how many species of tree monitors do you have?
All of them now.
How many is that?
5.
5?
Yeah, 5 out of 5. Wait, hold on. All right. So we have Persinus, McCrae, Risenjerry, Cordensis, and then the black. My bad, 6. And then the Bohemi, 6. I have 6.
Dope.
Yeah.
What draws you to them?
Because they're not as big as a regular monitor. And, I had lace monitors and I had to let them go. That was like my retic story was like the same thing with the laces, only I didn't have a prehistoric moment with them. It was like I just realized I don't have the space for them. It's not going to work out. And I didn't really consider that going, anyway. So so now that the tree monitors, which I do feel like, like again, going back to enclosure space, I feel like if you could give a tree monitor a huge enclosure, that's awesome. But the way I have it set up, they do perfect in them. And so they're in a 4 foot tall, 4 foot wide, 2 feet deep, which is connected to another one that has a portal. So they have like ways of just going all 8 feet for that for whatever reason. But yeah, man, just the fact that they're not as much work as a big lizard, like a lace monitor. They're arboreal, like super arboreal, and I'm just an arboreal guy. I love stuff that's in the trees, man. That's like my thing. The colors on them. I don't want.
How often do you feed them?
Every other day, every 3 days.
And what are they getting?
For the most part, right now they're getting button quail. I like to keep majority of them on quail. Whenever I can, I'll go get them crickets. I just hate crickets, man. I really do. I'm not an insect guy, but I will tell you this: like, it is important to give them some sort of an insect diet because that's what they have in the wild. They're eating mostly insects than anything else in the wild. So, but like I said, I give them, I'm keeping their weight where they needs to be. And I feed them every other day, every 3 days, just depending on how they look. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And how often do you change their water?
oh man, like almost every day, at
Really?
least every other day. Yeah. Cause I have OCD, like from the chondros and everything. If there's shit in the water, I have to change it. Like it spazzes me out. And I also noticed even with the tree monitors, when I give them fresh water, they drink it right away. Like they'll come down and they'll drink it. So I'm like, if I see that, I would be a dickhead not to give them fresh water. You know what I mean? Because like they're telling you like, yo, we like this fresh water. So every other day I give them fresh water.
Is that tap water or RO or?
I give them Cali tap water. We have pretty good tap water here.
Okay.
I will say anything baby wise is on filtered water. Like I do good water for anything that's a baby, but once it's kind of like an adult, everything's just on regular tap water.
I just got an RO system in my house. It's a game changer.
Yeah, I want to do that. There's also that other one that's a real expensive system. Like I forget the name of it. Oh man, I forget the name of it. Socrates has it, but it's a whole nother filtration system. I forget the name of it, but yeah, I do know I'm willing to do an RO system. I don't like my sink situation. My sink's right outside the trap. I mean, I would really like to have, in a perfect world, my sink in the same snake room. Like that's perfect world for me. But so I do know I'm at some point I'm gonna look at the RO.
So is your sink on the other side of the wall?
Yeah. So like once you walk out of my trap, it's right there on the other side of the wall.
Dude, you could plumb the RO spigot to be in your snake room.
I can. Yeah. But see, but the thing is, right on that side of the wall I have cages against the wall. You know what I mean? So I'm there, like I open up a door. I mean, I think I could maybe find space. Maybe I could send you a picture, but I could maybe find space where to put it. What I do want to do is do the RO system that's connected to the hoses that like are on the wall. You see those hoses that are on the wall that you walk down?
Yeah.
That would be fucking cool. That way I could just everything. Because everything, dude, it's kind of like I have my own way of doing things, but the way I do them, it's kind of like time consuming. Like I have to walk I take every dish, but I do it like because it's therapeutic. I blast my music, like it's just the way I've been doing things. But it also takes a lot of time. So I do want to come up with quicker ways to do my thing in here. I guess you could say. But
how many water bowls do you change a day?
Oh my God. I mean,
that's your full-time job, right?
Yeah. So every other day, but yeah, I mean, it depends. If it's this room, then I'm going to be doing 16 on this wall, 20 there, 12 right here. I don't know. We're already talking about 70 waters.
Dude.
Yeah, on this side.
I do like 20 something once a week. I'm such a bum.
But again, bro, this is my life. I do this for a living, and it's like I always stay ready for anyone to come into my room too. Even though I don't invite a lot of people, I like to keep it to where like whoever ever comes over, no matter what, is going to be impressed with what I have. Some people take advantage and just let their room go to shit, and then they clean it up really good before people come over. I'm not one of those people. Like I'm always,
neither am I.
Always making sure this shit is tip top shape.
Dude, if I see a shit on top of the coconut, it's got to come out. It's not staying in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's just something where it's a personality thing. It's definitely like an OCD thing. It's like, even water spots on the Cambro tubs, like after a while it drives me nuts. And so
RO would fix that. Just so you know.
Yeah. Or distilled water. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, but anyways, I do a lot of water changes for sure.
That's wild, man.
Yeah.
What made you start your podcast?
Forrest Fanning, man, the guy I talked about. I brought him up already 3 times this podcast, but the one who passed away. Have you ever heard of him? I think I asked you who he was, and you said you might have heard of him.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar. So give me some stories.
Yeah, so he owned Cold Blooded Cafe, that rodent company. And so that's kind of what helped him fund his whole Zoo Dream project. So he went by Zoo Dreams on Instagram and had the rarest collection. Definitely probably one of the nicest collections around the world, like nuts. And so I was always drawn to him, always looked up to him. He always liked me because how outspoken I was, and he saw my passion and like saw some things in me. And so I remember asking him, okay. And then what happened was I got invited onto a podcast. So two ball python buddies of mine started their own podcast, and I was one of their guests. And before I came on, they're like, MJ, you can't smoke and you can't cuss. And I was like, why not? We're adults. Like, that's what I do. Like, I want to smoke. I want to cuss. But I was like, all right, fine. That's fine. Like, I won't do it. And so the podcast was fun, but it felt so unnatural. Like, I felt like I can't, like, I feel like I'm stopping who I am. And I'm like, that's, I had a good time, and it was an honor to be on their show. But I felt like, dude, is the hobby missing something? Like, are people scared to be themselves? Like, is that what's happening? I feel like everyone's trying to like cover themselves to be like this, like, oh yeah, no, everything's tippity top here. Like I'm a, whatever. And so for me, I'm in this to just be me. And so I went to Forrest. I'm like, yo, Forrest, we need to start our own podcast. He's like, I don't know, man. I can't say this. I can't say that. I'm like, yeah, but I'm like my second year in this. I could say it. Like, dude, I could say what you don't want to say. And he's like, huh. He's like, that's a good idea. I was like, you'll be the brains and I'll be the fucking idiot. Like, and that's why I always loved your title, because like, dude, like I was, and I'm still an idiot. Like, I'm still like, what the fuck was that? But like, that was my push into doing this, because I wouldn't have done it solo. Like there's no way in hell I would have done it without Forrest. Because with Forrest, I felt like I had the ammunition. Like, you know what I mean? And so once he was down, I put everything together. I came up with our name, Unfiltered Reptiles Podcast. Everything's still out there. I really recommend you check out all those old episodes.
I will.
We got Ed Marino on. We're one of the only people to ever have Ed Marino on the show. Dude, just amazing stuff. Amazing episodes me and Forrest did. But he was my biggest push. Now, I'll tell you that after a few episodes, like ball python, it was my bread and butter. So I had these big ball python people that I wanted to bring on, like Justin Gabelka, Ozzy Boyds, Miguel Garcia. And he was like, no ball python people. And I'm like, dude, what? Like, I was like, that sucks. Like, these are my homies. He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't care. I can't stand the ball python community. He was so open about it. He was like, I don't want to talk about it. I'm like, all right, fine. And so I was like, I'm going to start my own podcast then. Like, I'm going to branch off. We're still going to do this, but I'm going to start doing my own solo podcast. It's going to be called Trap Talk with MJ, because I called my room the Snake Trap back then. That was the whole reason with the word trap came from the word, the name Snake Trap. I used to call my room the Snake Trap. And so I was like,
meaning snakes come in and they got trapped there, or you go in and you're trapped there because you're taking care of the snakes.
And I'm trapping them out. Like, I'm selling them. Like, it was like a trap.
Oh, okay.
Remember, I came from the drug game. So I always called like my room, like the trap. Like, this is where I'm going to breed snakes and sell snakes. I'm going to make money out of here. Like, that was like my little theme, I guess you can say.
Yeah.
So anyways, that encouraged me to start my own. And that's when Trap Talk was invented. I started my own YouTube channel. And it was called Trap Talk with MJ. And it started off once a week, and I never missed. It was once a week, and then it went into twice a week, and then I added a third one. And so I've been doing 3 podcasts a week, just for myself for 4 years now.
Wow.
Yeah. And it all because of the learning. As you know, Adam, like, you're learning so much. I love the guests you bring on, because you're learning so much from them, and these are guests where you don't get enough off the one episode. Like, you need it again. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And
it's crazy. I'm already coming up on a year, and I'm like, oh man, I'm having Kush come back, because I'm like, yeah, we got to talk again. Like, so much has changed in a year.
But the thing is, as a podcaster, you should pay attention to people you have good chemistry with, like that. Like, if you
totally,
like, dude, what a great episode. Bring them back. Well, don't even wait. Like, let's run it up again. You know what I mean? And so I did that a lot on Trap Talk. I would bring the same person back, and people loved it. But back then there was no other reptile podcasts out there really. So I was getting the bigger names. Like, I would always get the biggest names, and that would draw like the most people. And then I would have nights for the big names, and then nights for the up and coming names and the beginners and stuff like that. And like, would cater to those people and try to just cover the whole, side of things. But yeah, it all turned into just like, and I will say COVID's the reason why I was able to turn this into a career, because I lost my job because of COVID, collecting unemployment. And in my mind, I was like, okay, I need to pretend like this unemployment is a paycheck for the podcast. And I have a timeline. So, and even though unemployment wasn't nothing to live off of, I was still breeding ball pythons, and I was probably making over 100K in ball pythons then. Like, I was making good money.
Holy crap, dude. Yeah. Maybe I need to get into ball pythons.
No. Well, this is pre-COVID, man. This is 2019, 2020.
I'm investing all my savings and credit into ball pythons, MJ.
Like if this was 2019, I would be like, do it. I would tell you to do it. I would tell you only because like people were making it then, but it was right before the whole balloon pop of the saturation with COVID, right? So, yeah, dude. So, anyways, I was so content with the ball pythons that I was like, in my mind, I'm like, if I could make this extra income, like and somehow then I could maybe do this. Like I could be a breeder and I could be a podcaster. And in my head, I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm going to be making as much money podcasting as I am breeding, because I know how YouTube works. I know how, like, you're not making no money off YouTube unless you're doing 100K video views. And so I just know how that's the reality. And I'm not sensational like that. So in my head, I'm just like, dude, let me just try it. And then next, sponsors came along and Patreon. I started the Patreon, which helped a lot. Shout out to all my Patreon members, man. Like, dude, honestly, they've helped me out a shit ton.
Same here. Yeah, I mean, I don't have very many Patreons, but the ones I have, they're like family.
Yeah, but if you keep that going for 5 years, Adam, it's going to change. I'll tell you that right now. Because I have people that have been a Patreon member since the beginning, and that's why I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like, I almost expect them just to be like, hey, listen, I can't do it no more, but they're still doing it, and I'm like, I love you guys, man. And so, when I noticed that I could implement that, I didn't fuck around. I opened up the Discord and like really tapped in with everybody. Started throwing my event Trap Fest once a year and like kind of showing people how much I cared and stuff like that. And then it just started working out, dude. Like, yeah, next thing you know, we're 2 years after COVID and my unemployment's well ran up and I'm not using it no more. And my wife's looking at me like, so are you going to apply for a job? And I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, what? She's like, I think you should. And she thought I was crazy. And then once I showed her, some stuff, she was like, all right, like if you can sustain this, then I guess. And then it turned into like, we're like, this is enough to get by, but then getting by turned into us buying a house and everything else. And so just, yeah, man, I'm so thankful, bro. Like I really am. I don't think I was fit for corporate America. I think I'm one of those individuals who wouldn't be able to keep a real job. Just because I'm just so fed up with so much shit. And I also am a big piece of work. Like I have a lot of my stuff I want to figure out and doing what I do, running my own business and doing this is helping me grow as a person and becoming a better person. I don't think in the corporate world, I would have became a better person only because of my own issues. So this hobby has made me work on my issues and want to always like excel. Like I always want to be a better version of myself, because I know there's like 20 million other versions I could be right now. And so I'm just working on that, dude. And I'm just very happy to be where I'm at. And the stars align. Like I said, Forrest Fanning inspiring me, COVID happening, and then me not, like, I took advantage and just fucking ran with it. And I haven't been off the gas since, dude. I don't let off. I'm 7 days a week now. As a lot of people who watch me know, there's a new podcast out of my network every day of the week. So
yeah, dude. And you're partnered up with Morph Market.
Yeah, so Morph Market, they're actually my employer. So I do all the vlogging and all the YouTube stuff for Morph Market now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's another thing I'm very blessed for. Darian and I have built a relationship over the year and a half or so, about 2 years, and then he told me what he wanted to do, and he loves what I do, and he loves, like, the thing about me, like, there's no sugarcoating it. Like, I'm here for the fucking people who are in this. If you're somebody who used to be in this and now you didn't have a good time and you're complaining, or if you're on the bottom feeding level, I don't entertain any of those people, dude. Like, I'm sorry. I wish you all the best, but I don't give a fuck. Like, just stay out of my way. And he likes that, because like you, Adam, like you I don't blame you, but you're like, oh shit, you're nice to me. And what's crazy is, like, if you don't know me or know who I am, I could come off like that. But like, when I found out, like, when I introduced myself to you, Adam, and I knew that you were cool with me, I was like, dude, I told you I love your shit, bro. Like, I love your work. And I wasn't coming for fake plays. Like, I was genuinely giving you props because I love your work. I just didn't know if you came from a certain demographic who didn't like me, and that's why we never came together. But that wasn't the case. You thought I wouldn't fuck with you. I thought you,
yeah.
It was just one of those things. And so, but when you and I started talking, it's been great. Like, dude, you're fucking awesome. And I always knew you were a nice guy. And I'm glad that that I'm not a dick. You know what I'm saying? But
literally in my mind, I thought if I hit up MJ, he's going to say, fuck off. You're a wannabe, you're a poser, like,
Uh,
so when you hit me up, I was like, oh, look at this. This is crazy,
I can't say I've never done anything to give people that impression. And again, I'm sorry. Like I'm not like that. I have come a long ways and I'm definitely a lot more open, but I'm also still like, I tried not to think this way, but if I feel like there's nothing that you're bringing to the table, like I'm going to be very short with you, unfortunately, like only because I do this for real. It's like, this is my life. And and like my time is not that your time isn't worth anything, but like, dude, if I'm going to be sitting here talking to you, but you really don't give a fuck about the animals, but what are we doing here? Like I'm so go, 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 go. Like I know. And that's why I like going to the shows like Tinley, because I will actually talk to people and like calm down and like listen to you, but I don't listen via social media. Like I'm a bad listener via social media. Unless
you talk to me a lot,
because I'm interested, because like I said, if I'm interested, if I'm curious with what you're doing, if I like it, you are going to talk to me. Like that's why we do talk, Adam, because I fuck with your work, And so in the reptile world, if you are doing good by the reptiles, I will fuck with you for sure. You know what I mean? But I just don't have time to put eyes on everybody. Like I have my head down and I just grind. And so, and again, I'm so stoked that you and I crossed paths, because now we're hella cool. And it's so cool to be on this show. Like I say no to a lot of podcasts just because like, I feel like if I'm going to come on something, I want it to be like something where it is impactful. It's not just another fucking podcast. And the way you've been running it, would love to be a part of this. Like this is something that,
thank you, man.
Makes me excited to be here for,
When did it become a business for you?
This is my third year being an LLC. So
what was the threshold where it was like, all right, I'm getting this much from YouTube and this much from Patreon and this much from sponsors, and like I need to get my ducks in a row?
I should have done that 6 years ago. The reason why I didn't do it is because why do I need to show that I'm making money? I come from the place where I'd rather hide how much I'm making. But until my wife was like, yo, we need to buy a house, all that went out the window. Cause now I'm like, holy shit. Like the bank don't give a fuck about your how much money's in your account. They want to know how you're making that money. They want to know like your income. Well, how much money you've been making or how many they want to know how much taxes you're paying. Plain and simple. How much are you giving the government? And so, and my wife, shout out to my wife, but man, I would say 5 years ago, man. So 2020 going into COVID, she's like, all right, if you're not going to plan on going back to getting a job, you need to make this an official business. And I told her, yeah. And only because I'm like, dude, I'm not claiming I told you over 100K in ball pythons. God damn, I hope I don't get audited for this, but over 100K in ball pythons, 2019, 2020, all under the table. So I was like, the fuck am I going to say anything for? And then finally it came to where the landlord that owned the house was like, you guys need to go. And we're like, what? And we were originally supposed to buy that place, but then because of COVID prices, she wanted to remodel and then do expansions on the property. So we had no choice. And that's when it got serious. And I had only been in LLC for 1 year at that time. So everything was all on my wife. It was stressful, bro. Like I had to give a bunch of money to somebody to gift to my wife and all this like weird loopy shit. And so that's when I was like, never again, dude. I'm gonna be legit. And so, yeah, this is my third actual year, an actual LLC. Going on my fourth now, but I paid taxes for the third time in a row now.
Damn,
it's all good, because we're trying to buy a bigger place now. I don't want it to all be on my wife. That was, like I said, very stressful. I want to be able to contribute. So it is what it is. It's part of growing up. It's part of like manning up and doing what's right. And taxes is something you just can't avoid in this country. It is what it is. And so it's fine,
Do you think you'd be where you are right now if it wasn't for your wife?
No, I'd be fucked. I would still be selling drugs. Like meanwhile, wife, even when I had stuff going, I still had addiction problems. Like, I was getting better, but like there would always be like that blue moon where I'm like, I want to go party. You know what I mean? And so, and my wife didn't stop it until she was like kind of getting over it. And then she finally was like, listen, instead of me letting you do this every now and again, I'm fucking cutting it off now. And she told me, she's like, you either stop this completely, or you fucking leave me. And so, and at that time, like I said, I already knew what kind of savior my wife was to me, like how perfect she was for my life and I love her family. It was hard, but that's when I made the hard decision. like, fuck this shit, I'm done. You know what I mean? So I stopped everything instead of it happening. Like, and like, dude, I would go 6 months without fucking with it, but then there would be something in me that says like, I want to go party. And so, and doing that was not helping me. Like, it was just not helping me at all. So once my wife was able to make me make the hard decision on that, everything was like, and dude, I love my wife, man. I love her so much. I don't want to get emotional, but I'm just saying she definitely was everything to where I'm at today. Like, for sure. I wouldn't have any of this without her.
Isn't that wild?
It is. I'm so like, and I got to remind myself why she's like, why you always take care of her. And even though there's days where whatever's happening, that's, dude, she's number one. And with my son now and raising up my son, I want my son to see how important my wife is. Like, she's the head of everything. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm okay with that. Like, with my dad growing up, my dad was like, I'm the man. And like, he overpowered my mom all the time. And there's just certain things that a mom is better at than a dad. You know what I mean? Probably a lot. And so, and I know my way my wife is, I want my son to inherit a lot of her shit, not my shit. You know what I'm saying? So
for sure.
Yeah.
And I'm speaking for myself.
Oh yeah. So for that to happen, my wife runs the ship, man. And that's what does. She's no joke. And I love it because she keeps me in check. I'm somebody who has to be kept in check, bro. You give me too much wiggle room and I'll find out to get off that leash and it's not good, you know? So my wife keeps me on my toes. My family keeps me on my toes. And yeah, bro, that's my biggest blessing, bro. I love all this. I love what we're doing, but nothing tops my wife. She's it. She's number one.
It's crazy, right? Like, I mean, I don't know about you, and I don't know if you've ever run into this, but I'll talk myself out of doing things, and she talked me into doing what I'm doing right now. Oh, that's like there was probably 50 times where I would like get the computer set up and get the microphone and all that, and I'd be like, you know what? This is stupid. Like, everybody's going to think I'm an idiot, you know, and like, it's a bad idea. And she'd be like, I think you should do this.
Yeah.
You know, and kept pushing me.
Yeah.
Kept pushing.
That's kind of what Lily was for the snakes. Like, you know, like I said, I mean, she was the reason why I was able to get to the point and make 100K off ball pythons, like, and get me to meet some of the best people in the game and basically becoming really good friends with all of them. Like, she was my push. And then Forrest was my push on the podcast. But then I also like saw it in myself. Like, I knew like when he said, don't bring ball python people on, I'm like, dude, ball python's what grows this hobby. Are you kidding me? So luckily for me being so involved then, I was able to get all the ball python people. You know what I mean? Even though I almost lost them for a second. I don't know if you ever heard the story of me getting canceled or they tried canceling me.
No, tell me.
Oh, geez. Yeah. So obviously when I started the podcast, I gave two shits about what anyone had to think. I drank, I smoked. And I did it even more because people would complain about it. And I'm like, I'm going to do it even more. So just like asking for trouble. Like, it's exactly what I was doing. Then I got to a certain point where I had one gentleman, and I don't want to say his name, bro. I just really don't. I had one gentleman who also had his other podcast. We were doing a little bit of collaborating. And we would like kind of talk about demographic people in the hobby. And my biggest thing was bottom feeders. I would always talk about bottom feeders. Well, bottom feeders is that was his major audience were the bottom feeders, right? So every time we would do a podcast together, he was getting a lot of shit from people like, why the hell are you doing MJ? You know, he's talking about me. He's talking about like, so he was getting all this shit. And so eventually I was like, yo, don't come on my show then. Like, if your people are upset, then don't come on my show. And so, all right, he's like, all right, can't come on your show no more. So it stopped. But then it turned into like me kind of like having certain episodes where I would keep going. Like, I would find ways to bring up these bottom feeders, and I would like go in on them. And then these bottom feeders started paying attention to it, and we're like, what the hell? And so one of them made a YouTube video saying MJ is the biggest. He's the biggest bully in this hobby. Or I forget the name of it. You can type it up and you can find it. It has a lot of views, but it was like MJ is the biggest problem we have in this hobby or something like that. And it was a guy, literally, this guy's 50 years old, telling his whole audience that I'm a big bully, that I need to be stopped, and that I shouldn't be in the hobby with the leadership that I have. And he was basically and was pretty good, but he was clipping a lot of the things I was saying and compiling it. You know what I mean? So it just all looked like I was just spewing out hate. but it really wasn't. Like it all came from something, but the way these fuckers edited it and made it seem, it was like, okay, yeah, you made me look like a monster in a sense. But what happened was they put it on TikTok. They started putting it on all these viral platforms. And so it was gaining traction. And the next thing you know, these people were going after all my sponsors. And so all my sponsors were like, dude, what's going on? And dude, all my sponsors had a meeting. Like they all came together. Like it was like, and then here I'm thinking like, oh my God, like everything I've built like is about to be washed away right now, like sponsorship wise, like because of what? And so
was this like while your wife was pregnant on top of it?
God, no. This actually, no, hold on. This was the year we found out she was pregnant. So all this went down before we bought this house. So actually, you know what? All this stress did happen at the worst time because we just found out my wife was pregnant and we were buying a house. Okay. So imagine you going in to buying a house and now all your sponsorships are considered dropping you. Dude, it was scary. But like I had a heart to heart with all my sponsors. And like a lot of them were like, what? They were just confused because they're like, what are these people really complaining about? And it was about me being a bully. So once they were like, okay, like this isn't like we get it, but like, and once I was like, holy shit, this is crazy that I got this far. I told myself, you need to chill out. Like MJ, you need to do some self-reflecting, bro. Like you need to stop talking about shit that doesn't matter and talk about your animals. Like go back to square one, dude. And that's what I did. I went back to just like, fuck all these people, dude. I'm just gonna bring people on, talk about the snakes. It's all about the snakes. And I literally probably went a whole year, and I still do. Like I don't bring up drama. Like, and as you know, like I'm trying to be respectful here. Like I don't like we all know we could talk about it. I'm good. Like I'm fucking good, dude. Unless it's something that is gonna bring awareness to all our people and help them out, I'm not gonna talk about it. I'm good. You know what I mean? Or at least not give details on it. Cause I mean, we go talk every day about some sort of new drama. I get people telling me stuff every day, Adam. And I feel like a lot of people tell me this because they want me to say something. They want me to cross over. So yeah, like that happened, dude. Like that was a rough year. But I got through that whole year. And now everyone who wanted to cancel me were like, MJ, you've grown up so much. I love you, MJ. Like your stuff's amazing. And dude, I love hearing it. Trust me. I'm not making fun of those people. Like, thank you. Like thank you for coming back. You know what I'm saying? And I still have new people coming back all the time. Like, and so
do you think it actually helped you? Do you think it helped you as a person to like grow and change?
Yeah. It helped me in both ways. It helped me like me being able to prove myself to the people helped. Like I was able to like, now I had all these eyes on me saying I'm a big bully, I'm a big piece of shit. But now I have this opportunity to flip the script on them because at the end of the day, what people love about me is my passion for the animals. They love like how worked up I get when we talk about species. And that's a raw feeling of mine. Like I'm not faking it. That's a real thing. So I just had to revert back to that. And so and then also like, dude, I have like these people who have podcasts other than yourself and Morelia, excuse me, NPR, you
Retic Lounge.
There's a couple others that actually keep these fucking things on that level. Okay. But for the most part, the ones who are tripping from the fucking sideline, dude, show me your collection. Like, what are you doing? Like, other than fucking bashing me in the comments and tagging all these people, what are you keeping? What are you doing? Turns out none of them do much, if not anything. Okay. Actually, a lot of them were ex-keepers who failed and they checked out. Actually, one of them, one of the podcasts I was talking about earlier, was probably one of the worst things the ball python community ever had in its time. And he completely like bunked and failed in 2012, but somehow has a podcast still and talks about ball pythons. It's beyond me. I don't get it. But at the end of the day, dude, like I said, I'm very thankful for that cancel moment because to this day, I got people coming up to me saying, MJ, like, holy shit. Like I can't believe that the 180 you did, like the whole turnaround. And I love that because I have been working really hard on myself. I really have been. I really, and I feel like I still am every day. So when I hear stuff like that, it only gives me more fuel to stay on track, keep doing what I'm doing, be a professional. That's it. If you stay professional, no one can ever talk shit about you. So that's all I'm trying about. I'm all about just trying to be professional, even though some days are better than others. I just want to be professional. And I do want others to be encouraged. It sucks because one thing I don't want to be known for in the future is like somebody who like you can't go up to and in person anyone can go up to me, but like social media, how Adam, you're like, I don't want to be fucking yelled at or something. I mean, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do unless you came from a place even if you came from a place of hate or something, I would just block you at this point. I don't entertain any of that stuff anymore, but I do want to be here for the people. Like that's one thing Barczyk instilled in me as he left. Like he cared about the growth of the hobby and like, and being somebody who makes this a better place. And that's what I want to do, man. I want to make this a better place. I want it to grow. I want my people who are part of my network to grow. I want my peers to grow. I just want everything to get bigger for everybody, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean I want to have people on so I can keep my animals better.
Yeah.
And I want for somebody to be able to listen and say, oh man, I can implement that too. And I can keep my animals better that way.
Yeah. Cause knowledge is key in this, man. And, you know, from the older eras, like there wasn't a lot of the knowledge that was helping keepers out passed down. Like they almost hoarded all the good secrets. You know what I mean? But now with social media and how like it's all about the growth, like it's the opposite effect now. You don't do that. Like you want to share what you're doing that's successful. You want to let people know what's happening with you and everything. It's a lot more like you got to be open about what you're doing now. You know what I mean?
And your failures too are just as important.
Yeah. And dude, I embrace all my failures, man. Like people even ask me like, why'd you show that? And I'm like, I don't know. I have to let you guys, you know, see what I'm going through. And so, but I will tell you this, I used to be very upfront about anything that rolled. And I think I'm going to be less is more with that. I mean, not that I have anything rolling or anything. I'm just saying like one of the things that's hard for me is if an animal somehow rolls and I'm upset about it, it's hard for me to answer all the questions, man. Like, cause I get people are like, what do you think happened? What do you think you could have done for that not to happen? And as I'm looking at these, you know, babies and I'm just like, dude, I don't fucking know, man. Like, you know, so, but at the end of the day, like that's what you get for putting it out there. So I know that if it's a sensitive one, I'll probably show the Patreon members and that's it. But like the whole public, like not everything's meant for the public. You know what I mean? But it's also good to be honest about like and I'm very honest about it for sure.
Well, maybe in just giving yourself time to like process it and work through it and kind of come to your own conclusions. That way, when people do ask, then you can just say like, I think it was X, Y, and Z, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that was good.
Yeah, this is great. I didn't know.
I appreciate you coming on.
2 hours fucking flew by, man. And you know, 2 hours, I mean, not that the 2 hours drag on Trap Talk, but there are times where I'm like, fuck, dude, like it's only been 30 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and because I do so many, you know what I mean? So it's cool to like not feel like I'm in charge of the questions and like it's cool. And you're asking really good questions. And you and I have a lot of similarities with the species that we keep. And you know what I mean? So this was awesome. I feel great after this. I really do.
I think our personalities are pretty similar.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even just like my blue collar job, I recently talked to somebody above me and I said, do you think I'd make a good supervisor? And he said, you're kind of too aggressive.
Dude, you're not I don't feel no aggression from you at all. Like you seem so fucking chill, but
I think it's just, I do like to push myself very hard. Yeah. And I think that, you know, maybe in a professional environment, maybe it comes across that way. But when you said that you're always going, you know, like I'm always going, you know, it's hard for me to sit down and chill. Like that's not a thing that happens very often.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. If I'm around my animals, if I'm home, if there's a show to get ready for, I'm not chilling. There's no chilling. I do my ritual podcast nap, which that I feel like if you can get those in, Adam, even though
podcast naps,
you know, because pod naps are important, especially if you're on the East Coast and you're doing 9 o'clock episodes and you're not used to that. Like, I mean, I go to bed early, bro. Like I'm usually, if there's no show, like no podcast that night, I'm in bed by like 9:15, 9 o'clock. If there is a show, I'm in bed by like 10, just because I upload some stuff and whatever. But I'm usually like in bed early and I'm up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, like clockwork. So what helps me and my mind stay in the game is a 15 to 30 minute pod nap before every episode. And I'm usually pretty good about it. Even if I'm traveling, I even tell the people I'm with, I got to take a pod nap, bro. Like if we're going to do a show, like I got to disconnect for like 30 minutes. I'll see you in 30 minutes. Like, I don't want you to come with me. Leave me alone. I just got to separate. And that's it. I get into the flow state.
And do you actually sleep or do you sometimes just close your eyes and just rest?
I'll just lay down. Like, you know, I'll put something on,
No phone.
No, there's a phone. Yeah, there's some sort of like, I got to hear something. Like I'm coming from the
but like you're not like scrolling.
No. I'm just listening. I put it down and I have my eyes closed. Yeah, my eyes are shut. Yeah, and I'm just chilling. And then I'll set a timer. I always set for 30 minutes because I don't want anything longer than 30 minutes. But sometimes like I only need 15 or 20 minutes. Like I'll get this like sense of rush in my stomach. Like, all right, it's time to get up. And then I get up and I'm ready to go. I shower or whatever, rinse my face, or then it's game time. And so, yeah. So everyone has to have their ritual. You know what I mean? Especially when you're doing something so consistently, like me, like I fucking don't play around with this stuff. So I got to have my own little stuff that keeps me in the zone.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good idea when I do the later episodes. It's just hard. I mean, usually I'm like coming home from work and then it's like, all right, I gotta like pound like calories into my body and then get on there. You know?
And that's what I'm saying, man. Fuck, dude, I remember those days where I was doing this and working 14-hour days, and I'm just thinking, like, dude, like you got it. I mean, I remember I wanted to do the show so bad, and I would just be exhausted, and it's like pushing through that stuff. So it's awesome that you're doing that. Keep doing it. But I'm so happy I don't have to.
Dude. Yeah, you're living the dream. If I can get there one day, oh my God.
You will, for sure. I believe in it.
Oh my God. I would love to do that. Just be, I mean, and the fact that you spend most of your days taking care of your animals.
Yeah.
Is like a dream. That's like a dream come true. Like never feeling like I'm going to have to get to that tomorrow, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome. And also too, like when, like I said, knock on wood, but like, having gravid chondros and like seeing the future, like seeing stuff, even though it could all be shit, knock on wood, it really could, but still like the anticipation, the years of waiting for the moment, you know what I'm saying? Like that's the stuff that keeps me young and just like fresh and people always ask me in the Patreon member, like Patreon group, 4 or 5 a.m. I'm fucking so pumped up in the chats. And they're like, damn, MJ, what's going on? I'm just, dude, I wake up pumped up like that every day.
Dude, you got started early.
Yeah.
You'll message me on Instagram early.
Yeah, I really will. Just because that. And mind you, being that way, that's why pod naps are important, because I've been running like high energy all day, to where now I got to carry this energy into the show, and I just need a reset moment sometimes. But yeah.
Yeah. You got, so you're basically like a full-time dad too, right?
Dad. Yeah. I got Leo from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday through Friday till the sitter comes. And then obviously nighttime and morning. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm here all the time. So that means my son's around me all the time, which makes it hard because he wants to be in here 24/7. Like he knows all about this place and loves being in here. But there's times where I'm just like, my head's down working and I can't mess around. So that's been the hardest thing sometimes, is like my son wanting my attention in here while I'm working, and I work the way I work. I'm kind of like a hard ass, so, but you learn to adapt, you learn to work around it. And I wouldn't want it any other way. I love it. I love that I'm home. I love that I get to see my son every day. And just, that's probably the biggest, dreamiest thing of what I do, is I get to wake up every morning with my son. We have our morning routine. And like, there's something new I see about him that I didn't see the day before, and like catching all that stuff. Cause I know my dad worked his ass off, and I would only see him, I think, like at night, like when he would get off of work, but I wouldn't see him all day or in the morning. So imagine all the things he probably missed just from working so much, so I get to see all that, and I love it. I'm obsessed with it, to be honest. So.
Yeah. It's super fortunate that you get to see all that.
Yeah, man. Very blessed. So yeah, I'm just happy. Just at the end of the day, like I said, I just want to become a better person. I want to help the hobby grow. I want to encourage people like yourself or whoever that wants to do a podcast. Like if your heart's in the right place and you want to grow, man, go get out there and do it, man. Just anyone could do it. But literally it lands on how bad you want it. Like and it shows too, like people could feel how bad you want things. Like it's an attractive way to kind of get people to know if you're serious or not, just off your passion. You know what I mean? It really, really like bleeds into other people.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's important. If you don't have the passion, then people don't want to tune in and listen to you.
Yeah. And that's passion that you can't buy passion. You can't like fake it. Like you could try to be corny all you want, but if you're not really, really there and you're putting on like almost a gimmick, which is unfortunate, that's why Barchek was my favorite YouTuber. Barchek was the same person on camera that he was off camera. You could see it. Like he was the same person, high energy, like I loved it. That's what I loved about Barcheck. A lot of these other guys aren't like that. It's like the camera's on and they become a different person. It's like, what? So, but like I said, to each their own. Everyone has to make their money somehow. I'm just glad I'm not one of those people because I don't want to be fake. Last thing I want to be is fake. So
where do you think you're going to be in 10 years?
Man, hopefully here in San Diego, but prices, everything's so high. I want property. I don't want to move, man. But I mean, 10 years might be the thing to do, especially if we have more kids. School systems are weird here. I don't know. I don't want to get all political, but I don't know, man. In 10 years, I definitely see myself on property, like good. I'm talking at least good 2 acres, 3 acres. And just, I have my facilities, rodent facility. I want multiple reptile facilities. I want stuff for the chondros. Like basically I want my own studio with my chondros or whatever else in it. Then I want another facility with all the tree monitors and scrub. I want to get back into the scrub game. I really miss the scrubs, dude. Like you don't know how much I fucking miss scrubs. We didn't even talk about it, but I had a group of like 6 barnecks at one point. And they all went to fucking Steven Kush, man. Like that's what made me feel better is like at least all these scrubs for the most part went to Steven. And ask him please about it. Say, hey, do you have MJ scrubs? He will tell you all. Okay. But yeah, I want all that stuff back, man. I want Timors again. Like, honestly, I love seeing your stories with Timors because I feel warm. Like, I feel like, okay, I'm going to revisit that someday. Because I had a lot, dude. I had a lot of Timors for a reason. I loved them. I loved the pattern on their heads. Like,
yeah,
so cool. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, man,
what kind of scrubs would you get? Just Barnecks or?
Well, no, Halmies, man. I would get back to Halmaheras for sure. I'll probably get Halmaheras before Barnecks. But I don't, I love the Highland stuff. I love all the Maruki and the, all the other stuff, but no, it's all for me. It's Malukans, Halmaheras, and the really thick tiger barred Barnecks. That's it. I don't want anything else. God bless. Those are the 3 species that I will have. And yeah, dude, someday.
Yeah, the Homs are so cool, dude.
Yeah, I love them. And that's also like, a motivation for me to get more space because, I mean, those things need to be worked with. Like those are, man, I don't know. I can't ever say they'll get to the point of chondros, but man, they're kept under a rock right now. Halmaheras they're the dopest. I love them to death. I think same with Malukans, same with some Barnecks, if not all Barnecks. I don't know, but I love the scrubs, man. And Steven Kush, man, shout out to Steven Kush. That kid's like my brother. Me and Steven go back from the Forest Fanning days. Steven was a part of, if you go back and watch those Unfiltered Reptiles podcast episodes, you're going to see 17-year-old Steven on all those shows. Little baby face Steven, bro. Quiet. He just sat there like this, listening to us talk. I think it took him 1 year to start speaking. I'm not joking. Oh, I know why. Because Forrest had a mic and headphones. He didn't have one.
He wasn't allowed to talk.
Dude, he would just sit there, listen, he would just hear us talk. He couldn't hear me talk. He could just hear Forrest talk. Dude, what a time, man. Shout out to Steven. I love you, Steven. But yeah, he's definitely one of the best people we have in this hobby, man. The future is in good hands because of people like Steven Kush. I really mean that.
Yeah, dude, the amount, it's so crazy. Like you think about him and there's a couple guys that you think about them and you don't think that they're like 20 something.
No, because they're the way they carry themselves. And like,
yeah,
even at 17, I was already 32. He was more mature than I was, like way more mature than I was. And like that, but that's what made me grew. That's what grew on me was like this young fucking kid that acts like a 40-year-old, like a mature 40-year-old. And then he has all these cool pythons. And it's like, dude, I want to be friends with this kid. Even though I'll tell you, Steven was very worried about me in the beginning. He was like, culture shock at first, but
it's funny because your guys' personalities just feel like opposites.
But we also listen. We like the same rap music. We do have similarities in a sense, but personality wise, dude, whole nother being, man. But that's why I love him. That's why I love this hobby, bro. Because you meet so many people you would have never met in the other world. Like, dude, this place you meet some of the best people, bro. So yeah, I love it, man. Love everything that we do.
Yeah, and that's my thing is like wanting to see everybody like work together towards a common goal. And regardless of how you keep, whether you're in racks or giant enclosures or whatever, like everybody should be on the same page. That way we're a united front against any legislation anything like that comes at us.
Yeah, man. If you're doing right by the animal and it shows, then that's all we could ask for. That's all we need. That's going to bring more people in. And that's it. We need non-greedy reptile keepers. That's all it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. All right, brother.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, MJ. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. It was great having you on.
Yeah, man. Honestly, the pleasure's all on this side of the mic. And thank you again. Anytime you want a round 2, let me know, buddy. I'm down for it. So thank you.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's do it. And same goes for you. I'd love to come back.
Yeah. Okay. I've been thinking about this. We're going to do something here soon. I'm going to bring you on with somebody else. We're definitely going to do like, we're going to collab on some guests. I think you and I could be really good at like bringing on guests that maybe we've had on and we just kind of go after it, like a round 2 on this person. And yeah, I think it'd be good. I think
I'm down for it.
Our minds together on one show would be great. I think so. So we'll collab on that for sure. They got to be live. We got to be live, Adam. We got to be live.
That's fine. We got to get William Philippek is a fan favorite. Everybody loves William.
He's such a podcast whore, but I love that about him. He's a real one. And I'll never forget, like when I saw William was supporting me back then, because I was kind of if you want to talk about being intimidated by people, I was scared about William, man. I knew he was a big fucking dude, and I knew he was very quiet, and I thought like this guy thinks I'm a fucking moron probably. But when I found out he fucked with my show, I was so happy because I really respect William. Like he's another younger guy who's like a fucking like a freak of nature. You know what I mean? Like he's something else, dude. That guy.
He's like the sweetest human being too. Yeah, he is such a nice guy.
Super, super sweet. Yeah, really cool guy. But yeah, shout out to William, man. Yeah, we could definitely do something together for sure.
All right, man. Let's set it up.
All right, man. Thank you to everyone out there. I appreciate it. Really, really do. Thank you for the support. And thank you for watching this episode in my homie Adam's podcast. It means a lot. I'm too bright. It's a little better. I guess I could brighten up a little bit. Whoa.